let's get into it. These Democrats keep showing their true colors, and you guys keep voting for it. Some of you guys, just stop voting for this trash and vote for common sense and do more research, everybody. Let's continue.
Attention all MAGA trolls. And with apologies to the pastor who gave the invocation, your bullshit is not welcome here. And to paraphrase one of my favorite actors in the world, Robert De Niro, I'm going to slightly paraphrase.
An actor, really?
Fuck y'all. We're here to hear the truth and to hear from the people, not to see or hear from you. So go back and pay attention to your orange light.
I don't care if it's a Republican or Democrat as a president. Just don't do that. Don't do that. Respect the office, regardless who's in that. And now, for me, it's like now when half the people in my party haven't showed up, and then some of them have chosen to just yell and say and scream during all of it, I just don't think that's what we want. And I don't believe, as a Democrat, I think, like, dancing frogs really moves the ball for us as a party either.
What did you think about that moment when the president was asking Democrats to stand up for American citizens during that part of the speech when he was talking about immigration and...
Good morning, good morning.
I think you can agree with the what, like standing up for American citizens, but I disagree with the how. And so it's
gotta vote for common sense, everybody. Good morning, good morning.
Country together, but not stand on the backs of others. There's thinly veiled racist language, anti-immigrant language in what he was asking, and that was uncomfortable.
Boy. So we got to follow up on the coverage of President Trump's State of the Union address, in which he humiliated Democrats in front of the country. And now Democrats are fuming, right? They're fuming because this State of the Union did not work out the way that they thought that it would. Okay, President Trump definitely won in this situation. And in the meantime, Democrats were embarrassing themselves during and after the State of the Union address. Like, for example, Midas Touch, along with a bunch of other Trump deranged individuals, a lot of has-beens that worked for the liberal media who have now become progressive activists.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning.
A program during President Trump's State of the Union address that did not get that many viewers at all. And also on top of that, doing
like and subscribe, everybody. Like and subscribe. Good morning, good morning. Happy Thursday.
It really showed the American people how unserious these people
Democrats
are.
Don't care about us.
These Trump deranged Democrats are. And it was kind of funny because Joy Reid, who was a part of this, got heckled on stage. In fact, multiple Democrats ended up getting heckled on stage doing their counter production. Take a look.
American people. I stand with the pueblo, with the people that finally speaking the names of Silverio, Keith, Renee, Alex, Linda, Ruben, and the 38 people who have died in ICE detention since the start of 2025. I'm talking about Lawrence.
We got American people in jail. They're not even fighting for those people. We got real American people in jail. Y'all ain't fighting for them, but illegals.
This is the
They only care about America.
This is the reason that she came here to the United States, to speak truth to power, to explain the trials and tribulations that every immigrant, that every refugee goes through to get here, and to press this country to order.
He said deport her. How you gonna come to America and tell America what they should do?
Thanks, buddy.
That's crazy.
All right, y'all okay? How many of you remember Kilmar Abrego Garcia? How many of you guys remember that? Wait, many of you remember? Well, coming to the stage is a man who had the courage, the cojones to go and find him at CCOP.
Dang.
My fans are back. When I always say,
She said she's a loser.
you know who I am, and I don't know who you are. That means you're a fan, you're a fan, you're a fan, you're a fan.
Happy Mark, good morning.
Keep on being my fan. We're coming to the stage to debate Kristen Holland, Senator Kristen Holland of the great state of Maryland. He'll be joined by Janet Norton, a public health scientist focused on health equity and data standards.
Good morning, good morning. Democrats put out Joy Reid. No, they desperate.
Lead organizer of the Bethesda Declaration, a whistleblower letter to the NIH director and members of Congress detailing this harm. In November 2025, she was placed on retaliatory administrative leave. So you're going to want to give her a major round of applause. Senator Van Hollen.
Hey, you suck! You're a loser! MSNBC fired you because you're a loser! You suck!
Is that a man or a woman with his hand?
Get a sizable crowd! No one's here! It's empty!
Is that a man or a woman?
It's
What's going on here?
You're all mentally ill!
Yeah.
You're simping for a criminal! He is a criminal! He is a criminal! He is a... Yes? What? What do you mean? Do I know who you are? Why are you simping for illegal criminals?
Right. What you doing, bro? Get out of there.
You guys are losers.
Stop. Why are you here? This is not your event.
Okay, it's a free country, isn't it? Is it a free country? You want to know who the fascists are? You guys. You guys are the fascists. You guys are the fascists.
Don't get any arguments right now. No fighting. They're having their demonstration. Just let it be. There's no need to cause commotion right now at all. You have an opinion, that's perfectly fine. Take it elsewhere. They organized this. You did not. Understand? Over here.
Yeah, I'm walking. Oh my God. I'm trying to walk.
Damn, they circling her. Let her leave.
Wow. My tax dollars at work. My tax dollars at work. These police officers getting in my face.
I'm a mother. I'm a physician. And I have
Look at the Democrat Party.
and I am
Democrat Party got this trash up there, men's with dress, confused kids. Come on, man. This the party y'all voting for. Midterms, we gotta do better.
the proud representative for Oregon's 3rd Congressional District. Yes, thank you. Thank you. And tonight,
Is this
defy
Disneyland?
Trump and his authoritarian
Good morning, good morning.
by standing in joyful, radical, peaceful resistance with the Portland Frog Brigade.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. A complete and total clown show from the Democrats. That's the only thing that they know how to do at this point, which is to be agents of chaos. And then they want to boo-hoo, whine, and cry, and get mad, right, when they get heckled on stage. But, you know,
Robbie, good morning, everybody. Right.
As he was giving his speech at the State of the Union, the actual State of the Union, and Ilhan Omar was actually confronted by the mainstream liberal media on why is it that she lost her mind during the president's speech.
Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries advised your caucus, the Democratic members, to either skip the State of the Union address or sit there in silence. Should you have just boycotted the address, and do you think you violated the guidelines set out?
Subscribe. Good morning, good morning.
No, I think it was really unavoidable. The president talked about protecting Americans, and I just had to remind him that his administration was responsible for killing 2 of my constituents.
In Minneapolis, many members of your Democratic Party criticized their Republican counterparts when they interrupted President Biden's State of the Union address, as a lot of us remember. Do you have any regrets at all about the interaction we played between you and President Trump just last night?
I do not, and I think many people look at that moment when the president says it is our responsibility to protect Americans.
MAGA, baby.
Not acknowledge the
USA.
fact that 2 Americans, 2 of my constituents, 2 of our neighbors were killed, and it was important for me to just remind
Should have told him to stay at home.
the American people that the president and his administration was responsible for killing 2 American citizens.
With hindsight, Congresswoman, do you think you would have been better off boycotting the speech like so many other Democratic lawmakers did, or did you do the right thing by actually showing up there?
I brought 4 Minnesotans as guests for the Minnesota delegation. It was important for us to be there, to bear witness, to hold the space for our constituents that have lived through an occupation from federal law enforcement, that have been terrorized, that have seen our neighbors been killed and traumatized in so many ways. And so, no, I think it was really important for my constituents to see me there. It was really important to my constituents to hear that I was reminding the president that Renee Good and Alex Preddy were killed under this administration.
Want to fill more vacancies, Beth?
Yeah, embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. They don't know how to do anything but be agents of chaos. I think they have made that clear that they have nothing for the American people outside of chaos. For example, Abigail Spanberger, who is the governor of Virginia, she gave her Democrat response, the official Democrat response, which, by the way, right, like the Democrat Party is so bad that they decided that, hey, we're going to do the Super Trump Deranged rally, and we're also going to have the official Democrat response, which, in my opinion, it kind of like defeats the purpose because you're basically segmenting audiences, right? So you're taking attention away from the official Democrat response because you got a whole bunch of people watching the Trump deranged response, right? The completely, totally unhinged response to Democrats. Again, I don't know exactly who planned this stuff out, but regardless, even Abigail Spanberger, she didn't give us any policy whatsoever in regards to what Democrats are doing to make people's lives more affordable, right? In Virginia, we know that they're certainly not doing that in her state because she is just presenting tax increases, right, as their affordability solution.
In his speech tonight, the president did what he always does. He lied, he scapegoated, and he distracted. And he offered no real solutions to our nation's pressing challenges.
Not one Democrat
So
got a solution, but Trump bad. That's all y'all got.
Worse. He tries to divide us. He tries to enrage us, to pit us against one another, neighbor against neighbor. And sometimes he succeeds. And so you have to ask, who benefits from his rhetoric, his politics?
That's crazy, but the Democrat Party called us fascists, bootlickers, all type of crazy name, but they can't take it.
His actions, the short list of laws he's pushed through this Republican Congress. Somebody must be benefiting. He's enriching himself, his family, his friends. The scale of the corruption is unprecedented. There's the cover-up of the Epstein files, the crypto scams, cozying up to foreign princes for airplanes and billionaires for ballrooms, putting his name and face on buildings all over our nation's capital. This is not what our founders envisioned, not by a long shot.
She's talking about accountability, right.
So I'll ask again, is the president working for you? We all know the answer is no.
Yeah. President Trump did talk about fraud, though, and the billions of fraud that have been exposed in Minneapolis. And I think it's interesting that they chose Spanberger because she campaigned as a moderate, and she's
thank you.
So I think she will have a hard time really delivering on what she shared tonight because she seems to be a Trojan horse for the far left policies.
So with that being said, let's react to the voters. How did voters feel, this CNN panel, about President Trump's speech? Because again, we already know how Democrats felt, right? They were going to be mad no matter what. They weren't going to like it no matter what. So again, how voters actually felt is what matters here. So let's get into it.
Your political contributors, Van Jones and Scott Jennings, have been pounding beers and eating popcorn and watching the state. They're doing a special CNN voter live cast.
Oh, Glory, good morning.
One of 2 counties in that crucial swing state to flip from Biden to Trump. Michigan is home to several key midterm contests later this year. Tonight, Van and Scott are joined by 10 voters, 4 Democrats, 4 Republicans, and 2 independents who watched tonight's speech. Van and Scott, walk us through the reaction in the room to the president's address.
Well, half of us were miserable, and the other half were delighted. And we're going to get a chance to hear from everybody. Look,
good morning.
I think the most important thing I can say is that people here who are not in Washington, D.C., who are on the ground, look at this stuff very, very differently. You did not like this speech at all. Tell me why.
I didn't like the speech because he did not talk about what he was doing to make our lives better. As Governor Spanberger said, is the president working to make our lives better? No. James Carville said it's the economy. And it still is the economy. And he's not talking about that at all.
But what about the Trump accounts? What about the tax cuts? Did that move you at all? Did that make you feel like he's on your side?
No. It did not. He talked about the healthcare plan. Where is this healthcare plan? People's health insurance premiums are going up. What is he doing for that? What is he doing for our seniors?
So people like this, man, there's nothing you can do about people like this. She just don't like Trump. Because clearly, if she was listening to the State of the Union address, President Trump outlined how his tax plan has helped the American people. I mean, you talk about no tax on overtime, no tax on tips. And yes, I know there are, provisions on that, right? Like, yes, I understand.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
But also tax benefits for seniors when it comes to Social Security. What is he doing for the seniors? Well, again, did you pay attention to some of
right, Nicholas? That's all you hear.
Social Security, right? That is what he's doing for seniors. When it comes to healthcare, he addressed that as well too. He wants a healthcare plan where the American people get the money instead of the insurance companies. Are Democrats willing to get on board with that? So to say that he didn't present a solution or that he didn't present a plan is kind of ridiculous considering how he actually did, right? But people like this, you can't really do anything or do anything about people like this because she's just not going to like it no matter what he says, right? Even though he clearly did address the economy and the things that he's doing. Some things, again, it's going to take a while. But inflation is at 2.4%. It's the lowest that it's been in about 4 or 5 years. So, hey, at the end of the day, that in and of itself is a win. And we are moving in the right direction. Again, things are going to take time. But it's stuff like this where I'm just kind of like, okay, well, there's some people who you're just never going to be able to please. Clearly, she's a Democrat voter, and she's just stuck being a Democrat. It is what it is.
Lefty flatly.
But Erica, you are a Trump supporter. You liked the speech, and you had some positive things to say. What did you think?
Yep, I'm glad he addressed the tax breaks. I haven't done ours yet, but I know there will be a huge change with the children tax break, and my husband works a lot of overtime, so I'm excited to see what that does. I think no senior should pay Social Security taxes. And then I liked how, I wish he would have stayed more on Iran because I was already wondering, trying not to worry about it, but kind of not paying attention. But it sounds like he said if they're not going to go to nuclear,
so who the fuck are these people?
Find out.
Right.
We want to find out.
Yeah, his preference was diplomacy.
Right. But he will find out if he has to.
I'm so curious about how you saw it.
Well, Scott, he with us.
The thing that I missed.
He bringing common sense to CNN. Because CNN is
looking forward. And
stuck one way.
Supreme Court struck the tariffs down, and he's going for another round of tariffs. And I also think that's the wrong direction. Tariffs cost our company a lot of money. Our costs are up, and we need to control our costs. And without raising rates, we can't give raises to our employees. We can't help them. So I'm stuck in that kind of vicious cycle of raise the
You
rates.
see the alcohol back there, that room.
And
how him to a bar, I see.
So he didn't help you all on the tariff stuff at all. But you said that you enjoyed this speech and that there were moments that moved you. What moved you about this speech?
Well, the celebrating people is always good, but again, that $18 trillion investment, the $25 million in Trump accounts. But I did hear something on the health care, right? We have a law, the Obamacare, the ACA, and we don't have we don't have a way around it, and it's really just pooled care that's gone up every year. And this most favored nation.
Good morning. Good morning.
Stab at lowering
the Republican Party stood up for us. They said the Republicans ain't no good, but yet the Republican Party stood up for us. The Democrat Party stayed sitting down. They showed their ass. If the Republicans don't care about us, at least they still stood up for us. And that's what I voted for, Let's continue.
Unless the legislature acts, he's at least doing something that's going to hit our pocketbook.
I think the part of the speech that's probably going to live on for most Republicans is when he asked the Congress, stand up if you think your duty is first to American citizens before illegal aliens. Republicans stood up. He gave him his most sustained applause for the night. I suspect, man, you're going to see this in a lot of campaign ads that Democrats wouldn't stand up. What did you all think of the showmanship of that, or of sort of the spectacle of trying to get Democrats to stand up for that?
Well, I think the point, that and it may have gotten a little muddled, but, in the showmanship, but I think his point is valid. Everybody in that room represents the citizens in this country. And are you doing your job? He should, the governor asked, is Trump doing his job? Trump asked, are all of you doing your job?
But don't you think it was just kind of a cheap stunt? To just, you're somebody who's been in politics for a long time. To me, it seemed like a stunt. No matter what Trump told Democrats, stand up if I say anything. If he said stand up if you like puppies, they would have said we like kittens. There's no way they were going to stand up. So to me, he was just trying to make Democrats look bad. But should they have stood up? Pastor?
The role should be to unify the country. And I think that's the opportunity for us to come together as one.
Thank you.
We're not a states of red or blue states, but we're the United States.
Would you have stood up? If you were a Democrat and Donald Trump said, stand up if you are against the legal immigrants, whatever he said, would you have stood up?
I would have respected our country, and I would have stood to my standards. And I would have stayed to my who I know who I am. Left it at that.
It's a politician. Wow, incredible. Right? Absolutely incredible. Well, to be honest, the fact that Democrats did stand, it says more about them than it says about Trump. You can call it a cheap stunt all you want, but let's be real. It exposed the Democrats for who they are, right? If they're not willing to stand for that, then it just shows that they just hate Trump. And that's something that Van Jones even admitted. If Trump said stand if you like puppies, Democrats going to say, no, we like kittens. What does that say about Democrats? It says that they don't stand for anything except being against Trump. That exposes Democrats. That says more about Democrats than it says about Trump. So again, call it a cheap stunt all you want. It was effective at exposing Democrats and who they are. So, I personally don't think that Democrats got out of this what they thought they would get out of it. Their counter programming or whatever was garbage, right? It was an embarrassment. It was a clown show. And at this point, like President Trump said, you people are crazy, right? You are insane. And I think that is what Democrats are showing people. And if it wasn't for Trump derangement, that party would be dead, right? Because that's the only thing.
Yeah.
Under President Joe Biden's administration, and we learned.
It's time for Lefties Losing It, and it's deja vu all over again because we are again starting the segment with the mad ravings of Robert De Niro, the once.
Oh yeah, Greg, he be coming with the facts, man. Greg be on it. Greg was doing the stock market and crypto, but he went to being conservative and doing what he's doing now. Yep.
His unhinged hatred of Donald Trump has turned into unhinged hatred of America. Just listen to this demented analogy.
Vince Jackson, I don't understand how our ID is racist.
I choke on that phrase. We all love our country. Because our country.
You need your ID to get your SNAP benefits. So I'm pretty sure you need your ID. So they dissing the black and brown people with this ID stuff, man. And it's Black History Month. Very disrespectful.
Country isn't so lovable right now. In the current climate, declaring love for our country is like an abused spouse professing love for their abuser. I'm grateful for the opportunities and freedoms my family, my fellow citizens, my immigrant ancestors have enjoyed. But my heart is broken as I see them being taken away, both the freedoms and increasingly my fellow citizens.
Right.
People have been taken away, really, Robert? And exactly
USA.
what rights
USA.
have been taken away? I wish you would explain. I mean, does he mean the right to medically mutilate, confuse?
I never heard a Democrat
no
chant USA or they love America. They always dissing it.
To illegal immigrants. Now, Robert De Niro was speaking at the Democrats' State of the Swamp event, a sad little counter to the State of the Union address. This is the sort of thing that was on offer.
Subscribe. Thank you.
For Oregon's 3rd Congressional District. Yes, thank you. And tonight, I defy Trump and his authoritarian project by standing in joyful, radical, peaceful resistance with the Portland Frog Brigade.
What?
And sticking with the State of the Union address, Daily Wire went to talk to America's youngest and brightest from George Washington University.
Thank you for the like. Thank you.
And the results were concerning. These kids have been failed by the education system or their parents.
College kids are telling us Trump's State of the Union didn't go so well. The only problem? It's tomorrow. Rate Trump's State of the Union speech 1 out of 10. One's the worst.
Well, this is it's tomorrow, not today. This is an old view, but it's not today, but it's tomorrow. But they're gonna act as if it was today.
Hence the best. Negatives. And why? I think we all know. A lot of reasons. Yeah. What about the State of the Union last night? 1 to 10.
It was like a wire tournament all over the place.
Gonna give it a 1. And why do you say 1?
I don't think he's very articulate.
How did Trump do at the State of the Union?
0. At least one of them was honest and knew what was happening. Now the left continue to have
Right.
a meltdown about people feeling
Union last night.
let's
How
replay
was
that.
that 1 to 10? I was saying that was tomorrow. No, you're good. You passed the test.
Well, at least one of them was honest and knew what was happening. Now the left continue to have a meltdown about people feeling joy, national pride, and generally being
Stormtrooper.
happy about the
That's funny, right?
victorious hockey team. Here is a lefty losing it about the lack of diversity on the ice.
Here's the thing, okay? Hockey, I don't know if you guys have seen like the USA national team. Everybody's white. Everybody on the team is white. Everybody affiliated with the team is white. All the coaches are white. Like,
Look at that nose ring.
not a lot of people of color in that space. And like a huge draw to hockey is it's violent. Like you are encouraged to be violent.
She's gonna say like about 30 times and got nowhere with her conversation.
Like the fans love to watch the violence. The players love to enact violence. Like what type of ideology do you think a white man that comes from insane amounts of wealth for his entire life that like has these violent tendencies, what type of ideology do you think that they lean towards? Like obviously they were
Like
making fun of the women's team because that's what violent rich white men do. Like that's
Like.
what their favorite thing to do is to like make fun of women and on women.
Oh dear. Now, Fringy there would be devastated to know that the women's ice hockey team is also going to Donald Trump's White House. I'm sure she'll do another video accusing the ladies of been suffering from, I don't know, internalized misogyny and white supremacy. Now, let's check in on a couple of sad souls in the media, also upset by the ice hockey team meeting and celebrating with the president. Here is church stormer Don Lemon.
I don't understand why anyone would want to be in the vicinity of this president at all. Just being honest, if they called on the phone call and say no thanks. Do you want to take the call? No. Tell them to call someone else. I'm not interested in being part of this. I'm not interested in being part of this when he is not a patriot. He doesn't care about this country. He doesn't care about the people of this country. He certainly doesn't.
Oh, bless. Don is reliably miserable. You can just rely on him to be miserable. And let's end on a low point with the ladies of The View here in...
And that's crazy. Don Lemon is married to a white man, but he's gonna tell you white man bad. Can't make this stuff up.
His election denier, Joy Behar, gaslighting the audience, saying Republicans only win when they cheat. Isn't it the Republicans who want to introduce voter ID laws?
When he says that
Voter
they
integrity.
can't win, the Democrats, unless they cheat, that is a projection. Everybody knows that. That's him. Everybody knows is the Republicans are going to have trouble with November. So that is just a projection, and that's why they have to cheat.
Welcome to the ballots in Georgia.
Joining me now is RNC Youth Advisory Council co-chair CJ Pearson. CJ, let's look at what was, for me and Douglas Murray, who I just spoke to, the most shocking moment out of the State of the Union address, the lack of humanity from the Democrats who failed to stand up for a grieving mother.
Last summer, 23-year-old Irina was riding home on the train when a deranged monster who had been arrested over a dozen times and was released through no cash bail stood up and viciously slashed a knife through her neck and body. No one will ever forget. There were people on that train. No one will ever forget the expression of terror on Irina's face as she looked up at her attacker in the last seconds of her life. She died instantly. She had escaped a brutal war only to be slain by a hardened criminal, set free to kill in America, came in through open borders. Mrs. Zaretsky, tonight I promise you we will ensure justice for your magnificent daughter, Irina. not stand? How do you not stand?
Good one, Trump. How you not
I'll
stand?
repeat the question, CJ. How do you not stand for that? It's bewildering.
It absolutely is bewildering. I think the president was asking the absolutely right question there. When you think the Democrats can't go any lower, they somehow find a way to go to the bowels of hell. And I think they showed that last night when they refused to stand on multiple occasions for things that should have had every American on their feet, met with resounding applause, but they did not. Why? Because these people don't care about our country. They don't care about our heroes. They don't care about our USA hockey champions. All they care is about their partisan agenda that is built upon beating America into the ground, pushing us back, while this president does everything he can to propel us forward.
Now, it's been reported that Republican political strategists are salivating over what they see as massive missteps by the Democrats during President Trump's State of the Union address, and they see some of these moments being used in election ads, CJ. One strategist wrote, Trump
have been having to say recently. Shall we? Check it out.
What you got there, Gail? Oh, I used them to clean the windows, sir. You thought I was reading these fancy papers? Oh, no, sir. I know you've got to tell me how to think, sir. I knows better not to read this. And I remember you told me if I don't do what you told me to do, that means I ain't black. And I was just as black as the day is long, sir. Yes, indeed. Been using them words we taught you. Oh, yes, sir. I uses them words loud, proud, and strong. Anytime one of them highfalutin Negroes come around here telling me to read some kind of fancy paper for myself, I calls them coon and bootlickers. I sure do, sir. And the rest of them around this plantation, they've been saying another word. They said sellout. I know you ain't teach it to me, sir, but it sounded awful fancy, so I decided to use it for myself. I got some new words. Oh, yes, sir.
Got some new words.
It's dictator, fascist, and Nazi. Oh, okay. Dictator, fascist, Nazi. Okay, sir. Those sound awful fancy, so what they mean? Don't matter what they mean. You right, sir. Pardon. I get ahead of myself. I know what I shouldn't ask you. And I know that you tell me what's best, sir. Don't matter what they mean. Just matters that you told me to say them, and I got to learn them real good. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You got them leftovers? Oh, yes, sir. We got them leftovers. We sure might oblige for them, sir. Yeah, Overseer Crockett, Overseer Obama, and Overseer Waters told us you sent them, sir. Because we wouldn't be able to get by without your handouts and your program, so we can't do it on our own. And they make sure they remind us of that, sir. Yes, indeed, they do. We got some more leftovers coming, on the first? Oh, thank you, sir. Oh, thank you, sir, because they even told us, they talking about we got to get some identification, and we knows we can't do that on our own. We ain't not smart enough, we need that. Right. That's right, sir. I appreciate you for dropping by here, letting us know that you're still thinking about us. All right. All for good. All right, sir. Thank you for dropping by. Okay. Look away. Dixie.
just orchestrated a great midterm ad, stand if you care about American citizens over illegal aliens, and all the Democrats are sad. CJ, the Republicans...
Oh, that's from the Democrat. That's a Democrat telling
the ruling party doesn't normally
the black and brown people how to act, not the Republican.
You know, you're exactly
not
right.
what I voted for.
A bit of a Hail Mary, but the Democrats seem hell-bent on fumbling, what history is basically giving them all wrapped up and with a nice bow and all. The president made a very simple statement, again, that should have had everyone in that room on their feet, that the American people should be put ahead of illegal aliens. They could even concede that. And so whenever we have this argument that's back and forth behind which constituency do Democrats care more about, American citizens or illegal aliens, this clip will run on repeat in the minds of the American people, and rightfully so. The Democrats have shown us who they are. It's long past due for us to finally believe them.
Now, you've had a look at the Democrats' State of the Union response. What were the key messages to come out of that other than we hate Donald Trump?
It was bland, it was tired, it was the same recycled lines that we've heard for far too long from this party. No new bold ideas, no new words of action, but just
orange man bad. That's all.
Donald Trump. That's not what the American people care about. They care about how you're going to make their lives actually better. President Trump talked about how he's done just that. As he said, the State of the Union is indeed strong. It will continue to be strong because of the president's actions to make America affordable again and to secure our border, to keep America's place on the world stage at a place of supremacy, and he'll continue to do so. It doesn't matter how much grandstanding, filibustering, or how angry it makes the left. This president was given a mandate. He still enjoys that mandate, and he's going to continue to do all that he can to keep America great.
Now to news that the FBI subpoenaed Kash Patel and Susie Wiles.
You said U.S. a joke? Okay, what country better than USA?
When both were private citizens, this was part of a federal probe into then former President Donald Trump. Kash Patel, who is now the director of the FBI, said it is outrageous and deeply alarming that the previous FBI leadership secretly subpoenaed my own phone records, along with those of now White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, using flimsy pretexts and burying the entire process in prohibited case files designed to evade all oversight. And I think that's really the point there. Why were they hiding what they were up to? What else can you tell me about this probe, CJ?
Well, this is just the latest example of the overt weaponization of government against half of America that occurred under President Joe Biden's administration, and we learn more and more about it almost every single day. But I gotta tell you, Rita, I'm past the point of outrage. We need people to actually be held accountable. We need people in handcuffs. That's the only way these people
lock these bastards up.
Never do this again. So I'm tired of the strongly worded statements. I'm tired of the strongly worded tweets. Let's actually follow this up with a real investigation that's going to lead to real accountability and real justice, because this has no business happening in a free country like the United States of America.
You make an excellent point there, and it's one that I have heard over and over again from Republicans who are feeling a little bit frustrated. They saw this lawfare, they saw the weaponization, as you say, of these agencies, and now there doesn't seem to be any sort of reckoning. We're finding out these outrageous cases, and there may be some sackings, but we're not seeing arrests. We're not seeing people in handcuffs. We're not seeing people being sent to jail.
Yeah, Bill Gates gave his wife with STD.
Why hasn't the Trump administration?
He slept with 2 Russian chicks. Bill Gates admitted he slept with 2 Russian chicks. That's one of the reasons why his wife divorced him. But you guys is all about that COVID shot. Get the COVID, get the juice, get the juice, get the juice. And this guy is corrupt.
Those in positions of power decline to really prosecute these cases to the full extent of the law.
You know, I can't speak to the thinking over there at Maine Justice, but what I can tell you is that if they were to pursue accountability, it would be met with complete commendation from the American people and certainly from our party. Here's the deal. You know, you saw under the Joe Biden administration, these folks were locking up grandmas for simply being pro-life and exercising their First Amendment rights to protest. You saw them going after people who simply asked questions about whether or not our elections were properly secure or not. They were locking people up for simply having the audacity to disagree. That's the exact opposite of a free and fair America. And so I think that there needs to be accountability. And I think that Kash Patel and Pam Bondi should know that they would have the support of the American people if they went that route.
Now, you talked about a free and fair America, and President Trump talked about voter ID laws and the importance of fair and free elections. Have a listen.
Why would anybody not want voter ID? One reason, because they want to cheat. There's only one reason. They make up all excuses. They say it's racist. They come up with things you almost say, what imagination they have. They want to cheat. They have cheated, and their policy is so bad that the only way they can get elected is to cheat. And we're going to stop it.
Stop it.
CJ, he also noted Zoran Mamdani, the mayor of New York. He wants you to produce 2 forms of ID to shovel snow in New York City, but you don't need ID to vote, to take part in the democratic process. And the Democrats are willing to die on that hill, despite the polls showing this policy is wildly popular with all sides of politics. They will not allow it.
Yeah, because they would rather cheat to win. The president was absolutely right there. More than 80% of the American people support the America Act, which would do a simple thing that we all probably agree just makes sense, that you should require ID to vote in our elections. If you are required to show an ID to buy a shot of tequila, if you're required to show an ID to check out a library book, then you should certainly be required to show an ID to participate in our democracy, right? For a long time, it was so interesting to me because in 2016, all the Democrats cared about was election integrity. But when it came to 2020, they all of a sudden did not care anymore. And now they couldn't even be bothered to even discuss the issue. Now they're trying to gaslight the American people to believing that people that look like me, members of the Black community, aren't even smart enough to get an ID. Now that is just beyond the pale.
That's bogus.
Well, talking about gaslighting, I noticed Joy Behar.
Subscribe. Thank you. Let's get to 1,500. Why not 1,500? Let's get it.
They want to cheat to win. So that is just one of the more outrageous statements I've heard, but it was on The View, so we can't be surprised. CJ, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for your time tonight.
Happy Thursday. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Joining me now, celebrity and royal commentator Kinsey Schofield. Kinsey, let's start with Britney Spears. The former pop superstar has sparked serious concerns about her mental health after she posted more bizarre videos of herself behaving erratically. Have a look. Now, Kinsey, the second video we showed there has since been removed from Instagram, and we've got to say this isn't the first time her behaviour has raised eyebrows, particularly her social media activity.
I mean, it's clear that Britney's family relationships have been complicated, and I think anyone in that position would benefit from trusted support around them. Unfortunately, she has little to none. I'm not a doctor, but judging by her social media activity and
what happened, Britney?
Her erratic behavior, especially on airplanes, on trips lately, I'd make a case that the court system and maybe even medical systems here in the United States have failed her. I wish she would get the proper help she deserves. But as you know, she recently sold her music catalog for almost $200 million. And when you have that type of money, you attract a lot of yes people.
A lot of yes people, a lot of parasites, and the sort of people perhaps she's not equipped to deal with. Now, let's turn our attention to Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. They're on a surprise humanitarian visit to Jordan. Kinsey, tell me more.
Rita, I think that this is going to be a much bigger story. According to Honest Reporting, Prince Harry and Meghan met refugees and aid workers to spotlight relief efforts. But the final stop has ignited controversy. The youth center they visited is run by QuestScope, a local NGO. Independent scrutiny shows some of the organization staff have shared social media posts that appeared to glorify Hamas and related violence. You know, a designated terrorist organization by the U.S. and the U.K. I don't know about over there. I'm assuming yes. But they have raised immediate questions about, vetting and judgment. Critics are asking, what due diligence was done before lending this royal prestige to an organization with that online history? And what does this say about King Charles and his lack of control? I think a lot of people are going to call for these two to have their titles stripped, because you can't. You've got to do the homework if you're going to force this fake royal identity.
Well, yeah, they don't have official duties, yet when it serves them, they carry on like they're working royals, and they're not. Meanwhile, we've learned that Sarah Ferguson, has been desperately trying to break into Hollywood. This is before her disgraced ex-husband Andrew's arrest. Kinsey, she was apparently trying to get her 2021 romance novel, Her Heart for a Compass, made into a TV series.
Timing is everything in Hollywood, and Fergie trying to sell her corset-ripping story as the Epstein files were dropped was the definition of bad timing. No one wants to associate Sarah with sexy time in the middle of one of the biggest global sex scandals in history. Bill Gates, his multiple affairs was bad enough. 50 Shades of Fergie, I need to bleach my brain. Okay? No, thank you.
50 Shades of Fergie. Now, that is a brilliant title. that could work. That could work. Maybe Netflix would be interested. Now, let's hear from activist, actress Kristen Stewart, I should say. Here she is, opining on how she would miss immigrants in LA.
Immigrants. I can't stand the idea that the dismantling of the culture that did have a hand in like making me who I am, which is so meaningless in the face of people's lives being like completely unearthed, uprooted, destroyed. Like just this is like not who we are. So like where I'm from, I don't identify with that right now. And so like I definitely am dying every day thinking, so do we make movies about this? Do we throw all of our money at it? Do we stop buying burgers in the daytime? What do we do about this? Like I can't fathom that it's happening until it doesn't happen. It's like Los Angeles doesn't exist without all of us.
You know, I played Robert De Niro earlier, and there's something to be said about banning actors from speaking publicly unless they're reading from a script, because that's painful, and the internet had a field day with it, Kinsey.
I mean, she's talking to Architectural Digest. I mean, some of the comments say, like, I followed this page for architecture. Another, just show me a cool bathroom, please. And words are not her gift. I mean, do we stop buying burgers in the daytime?
Burgers? Yeah, that was my favorite bit too. Well, I think in her mind it makes sense. Now, to another activist and sometime actress, comic, Rosie O'Donnell, her daughter Chelsea has made headlines after she was accused of touching a man's genitals without his permission, leading to her being thrown behind bars and her probation for various other offences being terminated. Kinsey, what more can you tell me about this case?
Well, what I can tell you about this case is that, you know, Rosie should probably focus on her own drama versus trying to tell us all how to vote and how to live our lives. She did previously state that Chelsea has addiction issues. But what does it say about Rosie that she flees the country while her child is clearly out of control? Stay home and get your family in order before dishing out political advice to everyone else.
Hello.
Well, Rosie herself is obviously troubled. We mock her for her Trump derangement syndrome, but it's a real condition when it comes to her. She has spoken about her therapist telling her to stop posting about Donald Trump. Just try to go 48 hours without posting about Donald Trump. And Kinsey, she can't do it.
She can't do it, and I believe this has become her purpose in life, Rita. I believe this has become her brand. I don't think that she wants to make people laugh anymore. I don't think that she wants to be a movie star anymore. I feel like she's given that up, and she just wants to be an activist, and you're not very good at it. Like, I'd go back to the comedy bit. We enjoyed you in that arena.
I'm telling you, she is good at it in a sort of a perverse way, because I think she's the type of activist that pushes people towards the Republicans, people who are on the fence. They look at her antics and they don't want to be siding with whoever she's supporting. Now, before you go, a churchgoer whose Sunday service was stormed by Don Lemon and his entourage has filed a
Thank you for sending me the gifts. Thank you.
Other protesters saying they caused her to suffer severe emotional distress. What more can you tell me about this one, Kinsey?
Well, we're going to have to wait and see what happens here, obviously. But the woman claims Don acted with a group of protesters and that one protester admitted on social media to assisting Don with logistics and local contacts in support of the operation. According to the papers, Don appeared to take satisfaction in the disruption as he live streamed the event.
Thanks for the gift, bro. Appreciate that.
We could see that for ourselves. But he won't be taking satisfaction if he has to declare bankruptcy.
Laughing disco, thank you.
Hopefully it makes him, take more accountability of his actions going forward.
Well, in the aftermath, before he was charged, he was talking about how anyone who was objecting to his behavior was obviously entitled and a white supremacist. I mean, some of his rationalizations were quite extraordinary, and he's been loving the attention ever since. He's been painting himself as a victim, pretending like he's been persecuted by the Trump administration when it's a grand jury that's indicted him. So, yes, Don Lemon, I'm sure he'll be featuring on this program for many months to come. Kinsey Schofield, thanks for your time. And
I said Tucker Carlson. I'm gonna check that out one of these days. That's crazy. This for the people in New York. What y'all think going? How y'all feel about New York?
Called everything. It comes out of an understanding that policing is something that does not create safety.
Any New Yorkers in the chat? Any New Yorkers? How y'all feel about
invest into things that are
y'all mayor?
Indicators and creators of safety. And the city council budget did not do that.
Subscribe.
And it's just mind-blowing.
New York City's mayor, Zohran Mamdani, defended the mob that launched snowballs, really they were blocks of ice and rocks, at the police. Listen to this.
I've seen videos of kids throwing snowballs at members of the NYPD in Washington Square Park. And first I want to say that officers have been on the front line of helping our city respond to this blizzard. They and our entire city workforce deserve to be treated with respect. From the video I saw, it looked like kids at a snowball fight.
Looked like kids at a snowball fight. Right. Police Benevolent Association President Patrick Henry responded, quote, "The mayor's response is a complete failure of leadership. This was not just a snowball fight. This was an assault by adults throwing chunks of ice and rocks that landed 2 officers in the hospital." New York Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis joins me now. Mamdani is refusing to call this a criminal act. The mayor doesn't offer, he doesn't have the officers' backs. I think that's going to be a real problem for this city.
Yeah, I be focused on America. I get overseas, somewhat mess with America, but I be about America.
The actions of not children, these were grown people who were throwing snowballs, disrespecting our police officers. It is unconscionable. And you know what? It sets a terrible tone, Stuart, for this term. He's already been the leader of the defund the police movement. He's already saying he's not going to hire 5,000 more cops as Mayor Adams had planned in the pipeline. He's already cutting overtime
He wants
from our
chaos.
police, which will make our streets less safe. And now he won't hold individuals who assault or attack or disrespect our police officers accountable. And this is a differentiation with the police commissioner, who has clearly unequivocally said that those individuals should be held accountable and charged.
Wait. So we got to talk about Zohran the moron, who is facing a lot of backlash.
And the voters who voted for him, they voted for that shit.
Thugs
That was stupid.
attacking police officers with snowballs and ice during the snowstorm that has hit New York City. Now, we got to talk about this because you have leftists who are pretending as if the outrage over Zohran's response, or lack of response, really, to these thugs assaulting police officers. They're pretending as if this is a fake scandal, right? This is made up. This is just conservatives being snowflakes. They only just hit the police officers in the face with ice balls, right? With snowballs. It's not that big of a deal. The cops need to man up and just take it, right? This is the narrative that leftists are putting out there about Zohran getting backlash over the fact that he is saying that these individuals who assaulted police with snowballs and ice, okay, sending some of them to the hospital. Zohran has said, nah, they shouldn't be charged, right? It was just a snowball fight, okay? It's not that big of a deal. And again, leftists, liberals are basically defending Zohran in his very, very, very crazy response to what we all witnessed on camera, which was police officers getting attacked, okay, by a mob of thugs, not children, but thugs.
There were some cops who were at the park, and people started treating them like they were part of the snowball fight, started throwing snowballs at them. And now you have, I'm not kidding, you have Republicans who are with a straight face saying, we need to deliver felony charges against the people who threw the snowballs at the cops. Let's take a look at the video.
Wow.
Now, what you're going to notice here is...
If they won a snowball fight, they would ask for one.
There's no doubt about it, right? People are having fun with it. They're going, yeah, target the cop, right? Of course. What you're going to see here is, to the extent anybody actually crosses a serious line, would you like to take a guess who it is? It's the cops who start assaulting people who are throwing the snowballs. Here we go.
This man has a gun on him, tasers, all type of other weapons, and you throwing a snowball in his face. He gets blind. Somebody can take his gun and hurt somebody with it. This guy is an idiot. No, you should not be throwing no snowballs on nobody at all, especially in their face.
Shove that guy down into the snow.
So what?
Shove that guy down into the snow.
Yeah. Look at all them books. I bet he ain't read none of them books. Just want to look fancy. When it's fancy little water. Fuck out of here.
Walking back, is he going to do something to the person?
Yeah. So I guess the cops should have turned back around, started throwing snowballs with him. Are y'all serious?
Now, look, it is for sure the case. You can tell by their body language. You can tell by the looks on their faces. It is for sure the case. They did not want to get hit with snowballs. That's a fact. I can tell, right? Having said that, felony charges. Really? Felony charges? Is that really what we're going with here?
Yeah.
And so they bring this up to Zoran, and Zoran basically says, like, all right, guys, keep it respectful. If somebody doesn't want snowballs thrown at them, like, don't throw snowballs at them. But at the same time, it was a snowball fight. And they were like, well, what if one of them is injured, and shouldn't something be done about this? Shouldn't there be charges? And he goes, it's a snowball fight. You know what it looked like to me?
Look, he got a little kitty. Look at little kitty.
And they're trying to make a big deal out of it.
Kitty.
To me,
Look at cats.
the bigger deal was
Nothing wrong with cats.
cops literally grabbing and shoving the people down who were throwing the snowballs. That crossed a bigger line than any of the snowballs thrown at the cops. To me, that's more, hey, you actually crossed a red line.
You don't snow in LA, Vince? I get it.
They might not have liked the fact that the snowball.
Wow.
This guy is.
Wow. Wow. I cannot believe that I share a country with people who think like this, right? Who really think with this type of logic. And this is why it's really, really, really hard for me to feel bad when liberals win Darn Awards, when they interact with police, right? It's really, really, really hard for me to feel bad, right? I can't feel empathy for people who are this dumb, right? Who think like this. It's almost like evolution by political ideology at this point, right? It really is. That's what it is. Because these people are arguing that it is okay, that it is excusable to assault police officers with what could possibly be dangerous weapons and objects. And I know that some of these leftists will say, oh, it's just a snowball. It is harmless. No. What you got to understand is that in a situation like that, you have cops there to break up whatever was happening at the park, right? That's what they were called to do. They're there doing their jobs, whether you agree or disagree with it. You have people throwing ice, right? Has anybody ever felt a snowball that is icy, right? An icy snowball? An icy snowball thrown at somebody's face, which is what happened to those cops. They had ice balls, icy snowballs, which are hard, okay? It can be just as hard as a rock sometimes, being thrown at an officer's face. That can seriously injure somebody. That can seriously hurt a police officer. That is assault. And if you don't see it that way, if you're not able to rationalize how throwing ice, okay, at a police officer can be dangerous to a police officer, could seriously harm a police officer, you are dumb. You're just not very smart. And if somebody like that, right, that's just not very smart, if you can't rationalize that, if you happen to win a Darn Award interacting with police, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, it is what it is. It is what it is, right? Like, see, this right here is why you keep seeing liberals win DART awards, right? What you just heard there from Cal Kalinske is the same line of logic that he used to defend Alex Preddy and Renee Good, right? These people really believe that you can do anything to a police officer. Police officers are like dummies, right? They're like dummies to these leftists, and you can just do whatever you want to them, right? You can do whatever. You can try to run them over. You can try to fight them with a weapon on you, right? Police officers just shouldn't have the ability to defend themselves. This dude is literally arguing that the police officer pushing down one of these thugs who were literally in his face, throwing snowballs in his face. Oh, yeah, that officer is the one that crossed the line, right? An officer crossed the line.
That shit stupid again. Stupid. Once again, these officers got guns on them. They got guns on them. Mace and tasers. You throw a star on my face, I'm blind, I can't see. Guess what? They take my gun. These guys are ratchet. You see this. No respect. So chances are, throw a snowball, they're going to try to take his gun. And y'all know that. These kids should be locked up.
By defending himself, right? That's what leftists are arguing.
Like and subscribe.
This is why they win DART awards. This is why it's hard for me to feel bad, right? It's like, well, if that's the way that you think, then hey.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
I mean, you can't help people who think like that, right? If that is the way that you see the world, then it is what it is. So, you know, this is a big deal. And I'm explaining to you why this is a big deal, why Zoran's response is a big deal. But let's first learn a little bit more about
not dead security.
His response to the backlash, because he's doubling and tripling down on how
that's not cool.
These people, okay, these thugs here, should not face charges. They should not be punished for essentially attacking police officers.
We are learning more about the snowball attack on officers in New York City. The NYPD has released photos of these 4 men who are wanted for the assault.
Good.
One of the photos appears to show a suspect raising an ice-filled block toward an officer. Socialist Mayor Zoran Mamdani continues to downplay the attack.
I'm not going to be banning snowball fights or organized snowball fights. What I saw yesterday in these videos was a snowball fight that got out of hand. I believe that our officers, just like any city workers, deserve respect. And, you know, once again, I think these are the views that I've shared both kind of in public as well as in any conversations I've had.
The police union, with a much different view, writing in a strongly worded statement, quote, "The mayor's response is a complete failure of leadership. This was not just a snowball fight. This was an assault by adults throwing chunks of ice and rocks that landed 2 police officers in the hospital with head and face injuries. The mayor has sent a disgraceful message to every police officer who serves this city and a dangerous message to every person who might be looking to attack a police officer in the future." Harris.
Look, he said that a little under an hour ago. So he's had a couple bites at the apple now. And if that's the best he can do, I think winter is not his thing. Okay? I mean, this season has just not been his thing in the city. But this is more than just badly removing snow on the last storm and paying people $19 to $30 and requiring 5 forms of ID to shovel for the city. And it felt like something was being shoveled. It was more than that. These people were under attack. Those were criminals attacking them. And this city needs to get tough on that. What happens next time? What if you kill an officer? I mean, what if officers begin to sit down more so than the hundreds of them that are leaving the force each month?
Dang.
Now, many of them retiring, not wanting to do this job. Doesn't mean they're all 70. They just don't want to do it in an environment that endangers them. This is more now than campaign speech and rhetoric, which, Ainsley, you brought that up with that last story of the people spinning and blocking traffic, those teenagers. It's similar to that, only these are the people who come, they answered a call for help. Those groups, the big crowds, were pelting windshields and open traffic. They were going after drivers. Those cops showed up to stop that and took the incoming themselves. It's not right. Mamdani is lost in the snowstorm, and it's not even snowing today.
And Ainsley,
yeah, so I think that Harris Faulkner is spot on. Again, trying to downplay this as fake outrage. Oh, you know, the right wing, we're being snowflakes, whatever, right? The cops should have just had fun with it, right? This type of stupid stuff they're saying. But what they don't realize
people at work
is that Zoran's response here sets the tone, right? It sets the tone for what's allowed and what's not allowed. When you're mayor of a city, when you're the leader of a city, okay?
Sound like Chicago.
And you're basically now routinely defending attacks against police officers. Remember, I covered a story about the lunatic that tried to stab a police officer responding to a mental health call, right? Zoran's response was, well, we need to have mental health professionals. We need to have social workers respond to these calls.
That's crazy.
And when asked whether or not the lunatic that tried to stab the officer should face any charges or thrown in jail after being shot by the officer, okay, defending himself, Zoran said no, while visiting the lunatic that tried to stab the police officer. Now, what type of message does that send? What type of message does that send to criminals, right? It sends the message that, hey, this guy, this mayor, he's not backing the police, right? He's not going to have their backs. In situations where, criminals attack police officers.
Y'all say they throwing snowflakes, they throwing ice. They were throwing ice besides snowballs, everybody.
That he's not going to have the backs of police, especially in situations where there's a gray area, right?
McKnight.
And we've seen what that leads to in this
They was
country.
throwing ice besides snow.
The most deadly part about defunding police was not the actual defunding of the police. It was the psychological effect of defund the police.
You must be soft then, Dave. Going through some water, you need a wheelchair?
Across the country
Amazing.
who decided that, hey, you know what? A lot of officers gonna quit. They're gonna retire. It's not worth it anymore.
Get about it.
It's a thankless job. We don't get respect. Our leadership undermines us in public all the time. They try to make us out to be the enemy. We go out there and we try to save lives.
Yeah, I got Dave up out of here.
Trying to protect, trying to serve.
Everybody's welcome, but
And they say we're pigs. We're evil.
some of the energy ain't good. If the energy ain't good, get them out of here. I'm
right?
getting them out of here.
If you happen to justifiably shoot and kill the unarmed black person, you could be thrown in prison.
Especially all that name calling. That's stupid. I get back to all that name calling. We can agree or disagree. But don't call nobody bootlickers.
What happened? These forces were understaffed, and that's when crime got out of control. Police are unable to respond to calls on time, short staff. Then they got to pay massive overtime because the people there who are working, they got to work all the time basically because there's so much crime going on. And the vast majority of the crime goes unreported because a lot of people just stop calling police because there's no point. They don't show up due to the fact they just don't have enough people. And that happens because of leadership like Zoran Mandami. And that's what these people don't understand.
Right.
Leftists will try to make this seem like not that big of a deal. It's being overblown. No, it's not. In situations like that, it may seem harmless. It was not harmless. Let's be real. It was not harmless. But
look at this trash. Look at Illinois bullshit.
$multi-billion stadium just over other than deep dish pizza and cold winters. There is nothing more.
I'm from Chicago. I live in Rockford now, and this is bogus right here, man. I did not vote for this.
Chicago than the Bears. The Chicago Bears, or the Bears, as they call them in Chicago. But
The Bears.
could soon be joined a growing list of businesses leaving the Windy City over high taxes, an antagonistic governor, and an incompetent mayor. Indiana is offering to help build the Bears a multi-billion-dollar stadium just over the Illinois-Indiana line. If the Bears leave Illinois, they will join companies like Boeing, Citadel, Caterpillar, and a whole long list more that have since left Illinois. Indiana Governor Mike Braun is here, who's trying to close the deal. Governor, welcome. It's good to see you.
be on.
Thank you. All right, there's so much here. Go woke, go broke. There's politics, there's economics, there's everything else.
Yep.
Want to clear one thing up, though. I think
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
would want me to ask my father-in-law in
Let's
particular.
get to 1,500.
Will they still be called the Chicago Bears?
Think so. I don't think it's going to be the Gary Bears or the Hammond Bears.
Or the Northern Indiana Bears. Okay.
Why does Indiana even have a chance of this happening?
I think you can blame that on their own state government and the mayor of Chicago and the governor.
How so?
Well, they've been talking to them from 3 years ago, and there was just no interest in doing anything.
When you say do anything, what do you mean? In terms of getting
well, just even talking about the...
Right, gave $1 billion to the illegals. That money could have went to the Bears and other homeless people in Chicago. America first.
Terms of what it would be
Chicago
like.
first.
They're wanting to not be at Soldiers Field. They got a lease that still extends even beyond when a new stadium would be built, because they got to still play somewhere. And then they, I think, got a good look at what it's going to be like in a state that's got light regulations, taxes, property taxes alone. So they can see how much better it will be to have a business, just like John Deere, Illinois company, just is putting a huge distribution center in Indiana. A lot of businesses are moving across in people, not too unlike California and New York.
Okay, so Governor Pritzker sees it, as you might imagine, slightly differently. This is him in 2025, wondering why anyone would leave Illinois. Take a listen.
I'll just say that that Indiana is a low-wage state that doesn't protect workers, a state that does not provide health care for people when they're in need. And so I don't think that it's very attractive for anybody in Illinois.
Get your goof on.
So I think you take the opposite of what he just said, and that's why people are moving into Indiana. Your cost of living and what you can get with the wages that we pay. By the way, he forgot to mention that our economy is growing fast than theirs, in a sense of double the GDP growth, 3 times that of Kentucky's, 5-6 times that of Michigan. So we've got, I think, the sweet spot of low costs, enterprise, and a government that's welcoming for families, small businesses, and even organizations like the Bears.
Okay, so the team is entertaining a move to Indiana as the Hoosier State prepares a competitive package to lure the team away from its home of more than 100 years.
That's Pat Mikowski.
When you double down on heavy regulations, high taxes, people will vote with their feet eventually. And we are an enterprise.
Alshon Jeffrey. They went to Philly.
They've gotten a good peek at what doing business in a state like Indiana would be. And by the way, they started this conversation 3 years ago. 2.5 years, cold shoulder. Bears came to us. We've been working with them, and they know what it's like for a state that's open for business.
There is a limit to what the taxpayers of Illinois are willing to spend on a stadium or on infrastructure and everything else. And we're just not willing to, remember, we have a lot of things we need to invest in.
Jabba the
It's
Hutt.
a choice by the Bears about whether or not they want to be in the state of Illinois.
Subscribe.
I think we've had really productive conversations, which again is why I was dismayed by, the fact that they didn't even tell us they were putting it. I get that they want to keep hope alive, as they say, for another location. But they should have told us they were putting out a statement.
Is there a limit to how much money they spend in taxes for illegal immigrants in the state of Illinois? Or
This is his channel.
Chicago?
A righteous perspective. This is his channel.
No.
That part. I keep telling you, I'm enjoying finding out season. Okay, I'm really enjoying it, and I honestly think all of these corporations that need to show these blue governors, blue cities, blue mayors, blue everything. That listen, I have to sit here and take this. Y'all don't want to do right. I have to sit here and take this. Now I feel bad for people that live there and jobs are lost and all that. But again, that's your fault because y'all keep voting for these people. Y'all keep putting them in office. You can tell Pritzker is lying through his teeth as he's talking. The man can't even look. The lies is just flying out. And this is the problem. People keep supporting, like I said, they vote like it's a sports team and not what is the best thing for our state, our city. What is the best thing? And they don't think like that. So this is why I think all of these people need to do things like that, because we're tired of the blue cities, the blue states, the blue leadership that sits there and lie in our faces while There's slush funds allegedly. There's fraud flying all over different states. Taxpayers is paying, but all this money running all over the place. I mean, this ain't even got nothing to do with Chicago, but the fact that the Minnesotans now, Somalians now want reparations, and they're standing bold in reparations. Like, this is crazy. As my brother Jason always says, this is crazy work. This is straight crazy work. What is happening right now? So you have the audacity to do these things and the only reason why they're so emboldened to do the things like that is because the blue leadership has basically prioritized everyone above the American citizens that put them in office. So at this point, if that means picking up and leaving, so be it for the corporations. And the people that have to live there and suffer through it, I am very sorry for those who didn't vote for it. For those who did vote for it, welcome to Finding Out season. And as everyone here said in the panel, please don't pick up your nasty blue habits and move out your city and state and then come move down to another area and try
Preach,
to
Crystal. Preach. You go to a red state, you vote red. Don't go to red state voting blue. That's insane.
Keep that blue mentality wherever you at. We don't want it. We know what we want and we know how we want it run. So keep that mess elsewhere. But I support whatever he does. And Pritzker trying to drag Indiana. Okay. I know people that live in Indiana and they're quite happy and they're quite fine. Thank you very much.
Right, because during COVID, Indiana was thriving. And here in Chicago, Illinois, they had us in lockdown. Wearing masks and all that trash.
They're losing companies like it's nobody's business. Just like New York. New York lost, over 300 businesses have led New York because of the bad taxes and overregulation, and more is happening as we speak. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if the New York Stock Exchange, it moves. It moves to Texas or to Florida. There's a plethora of states that would take them in a heartbeat. And the thing is, there are some people that were like, I can't believe that Chicago Bears is going to move out of Chicago. Like, that's not a thing in the NFL. I mean, the Giants and the Jets don't play in New York.
Nope, they in New Jersey.
San Francisco,
they say it where they in New Jersey.
Out of San Francisco, where the Rams don't play, the Raiders move. Like, what are we talking about? You know, and what we do know about the NFL, I mean, it is the #1 sports league in the country. And if I'm not mistaken, the world. People are going to watch their football. You know what I'm saying? Now, the NFL, they're doing some things that could potentially push people away from it, but folks going to watch their football. And if I'm not mistaken, where they're talking about moving the stadium, it's only about a 20 to 25 minute ride from where the current stadium is. So it's not that crazy.
Hold on, Righteous. Based on traffic, it's a little bit longer than that. Roosevelt State traffic be something else now, Righteous. You don't know about that part. I know. It's traffic. It's longer than 20 minutes, like 45 to an hour, especially you want to East Chicago.
You voted for it. And when we looked at that gentleman talking and being worried about the wrong issue, and I think about it over and over and over again, where it's like, when you're moving and staying in places where you keep pushing these politicians or wanting them to be so adversarial towards the business community, towards corporations. And I'm like, listen, there's a little give and take. What's the incentive to get them to come? What's the incentive to get them to stay? When you don't, and I realize what it is. A lot of the people that vote for this stuff, they don't have properties to worry about property taxes. They don't manage companies where they have to factor in taxes and budgets and everything. They're only thinking about themselves. There's a lack of real world experience with the people who are voting for policies that they're not in positions that will actually directly affect them until it's too late. I'm gonna say this right now. When he said something, he said a key quote where he said something that stood out to me. He was like, there's a lot of things that we got to prioritize and pay for. And like Brother Juan said, USA, fraud, specialty projects, Somalians.
Come on, he didn't say it. He didn't say it. That's right.
Yeah. Hotel stays, vouchers for people who got here yesterday. At some level, y'all gonna wake up and realize that you was played. You was played. So my view is a very simple one, honestly, with the situation. If you keep voting like this and you live in a blue city, you actually don't deserve a professional team. That's what that actually means, because you're going to do things that's going to warrant their ownership wanting to leave. So I'm going to say it to all of you Chicagoans that voted for this. Don't move to Indiana and cause them to lose the Bears as well. Come on. Stay your in Chicago and accept the consequences of your actions. Y'all voted for people who prioritize not Chicago, but everything else.
That's right.
They care about the
So
illegals.
most of y'all know I'm originally from Chicago. So when I was growing up, there was this little PSA, encourage people to go to different states around there. And the one for Indiana was there's more than corn in Indiana. And they would talk about all the different things that you could do when you came to Indiana to travel and go on vacation. Well, there's clearly more than corn in Indiana now. They want the bears. And I'm here for it. I'm here for competition. Now, I do think it's interesting. The governor of Indiana that we saw right there is a Republican. And so it makes 100% sense that I think more Republican governors should start poaching from these blue states, these blue cities, these sanctuary cities. They might as well just say they're for sale, for poaching. It might be a garage sale sign, and just start reaching out to them and say, hey, I mean, if all they got to do is, because the Bears Stadium is old. I mean, when we're looking at some of the newer stadiums now, Soldiers Field is old hat, is old. And they're trying to build a new stadium. And they say, hey, we'll build you a new stadium. Just come
Arlington Heights.
Just come 20 minutes down the road. Just come on down there. Just 20 minutes. That's all it is. Just come 20 minutes. And now, granted, you're going 20 minutes into another state, but let's not digress here. I think it's a wonderful thing, and I think more Republicans should start looking at, you know what, we're going to start taking advantage of y'all, and we're gonna poach the big companies. We're going to poach Caterpillar. I'm joking about it when I said the New York Stock Exchange come to Georgia, but I wasn't joking. Like, start looking, say, hey, we have room here in downtown Atlanta, the underground Atlanta. Underground has been vacant for a minute. Better than a decade. The underground Atlanta could be the underground New York Stock Exchange. Next Tuesday, ready to go on Wednesday. What are we doing? And I think we should start poaching from them and let them know. But on the same note, let me just say one more time. We can take your company and we'll give you the space. We'll give you all the benefits. Just do me a favor. Please make sure you leave your politics up there wherever the heck you came from. And don't bring that down here.
Don't bring that trash.
Once again, we are witnessing the end of urbanization. The lie of urbanization was exposed, most dramatically exposed during COVID. And
Thank you.
it
Thank you.
exposed this Democrat racket that they have been running for 200 years, which is if you live and work.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for stopping by in the chat. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You have higher inflated salaries. In exchange, they will give you those higher and inflated salaries in exchange for your vote and power. And that is what they have been able to do for 200 years. They dress it up in this multiculturalism and in arts and culture and tech sectors and all of these other great things that these metropolises are supposed to offer you. When all that was shut down, people were in COVID, that's when the lie got exposed. So the Bears are very likely going to move, and they are not the only ones. A lot of people, companies, and individuals are realizing that this promise is not what it was cracked up to be. Because even though you may get these inflated and higher salaries, the cost of living is so high that it makes those salaries irrelevant. So you are actually poorer living there than you would be somewhere else on a lower salary, but the cost of living is lower as well. So what people don't realize,
Rod Jones, thanks for subscribing. Rod Jones, thank you.
is living in these places, making all this money is actually making you poor. So I think we're going to see, like I said, it's going to be, slow. Everyone's not leaving all at once, but they're leaving in significant enough numbers that is doing damage to the places where Democrats rule fiscally. This is why you see these crazy budgets. We have $1 billion deficit here and hundreds of millions of dollars of deficit there. Of course you are, because it costs too much to live there. Because not only do you have to pay for all of the American citizens who are busy disassociating, you also have to pay for the illegals. Much of this deficit is created not even by Americans. It's by all of the goods and services that it took to, quote, resettle these illegals. So people are getting tired of this, and people are leaving, and they want schools that work. Like Freed said in the other segment, they want predictable sanitation. They want schools that work. They want a government that's efficient, and they realize
that's the problem. You want government, less government. That's your problem. You want the government
in Democrat places where Democrats rule.
Use them for the right way.
That's not going to happen for them. So I think that we are really in a seismic shift, and we're going to have to figure out, like Jay Witt is saying, one, how to not let them corrupt the places that are functioning well. And then two, for those who don't leave, and we know this is an envious, covetous people, what to do with their anger when they realize that they're stuck there with no money and nothing.
Hey, listen, first of all, I'm surprised that it took this long for them to decide they're going to leave. And secondly, I'm curious as to why that Indiana's let them keep the name Chicago Bears. I mean, I don't get that. It must be some kind of marketing issue. But that just to me don't make no sense. You come to Indiana.
The Gary Bears is lame though. Yeah. Gary Bears is crazy.
They still can come up with something.
But you also got to think, Minister Denzel, the licensing aspect of things. Yeah. When Washington changed their name from the Redskins to the Commanders, it took them like 2 or 3 years to do it because they have a whole bunch of merch already printed up and all this other kind of stuff. It's a money thing.
Right. The New York teams in North Jersey are not changing their name.
Yeah, they're not changing it from New York to New Jersey.
It's a shame. It's a shame.
The Jackson 5 Bears is crazy.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to have anything to do with Chicago once I got over there. That's how bad they are. I mean, that's a disaster city. That's a massive disaster city right now with the crime and everything. So yeah, I mean, it's I want to say this, and it's not on the move right now, but when a company goes out of a big company goes out of business, they usually will drop the name and then come up with another name and then start a new business under another name, right? Well, the Democrats are doing so bad. I just wonder how long it's going to take before they have to change their name as a political party. I mean, just dump the name and come up with something else because there's so much garbage connected to that name, that title Democrat, that at some point there's going to have to be a major change because people are going to wake up eventually. I just got this feeling that somewhere along the line, enough people are going to wake up until their name's not going to mean nothing.
Absolutely. I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on to all so you never miss an upload. Consider joining the ARP family, or you can buy your brother a coffee. That link's in the description box below. And as always, keep going.
It's not just the fraud, right? I mean, it's the fire stuff too. Spencer Pratt, he's made a crusade out of this one. He's very happy today because news today that the courts will allow for the discovery process in the Palisades fire. He's been demanding this for quite some time, and he's absolutely thrilled. Let's go to Spencer Pratt.
Massive news on the Palisades fire lawsuit as the judge has overruled the city and the state's demurs and is allowing the case to move forward. That means discovery time. Until now, our attorneys have had to fight for any information from state and local agencies about their failures on the fire because there's been a stay on discovery for nearly a year. Think about every insane thing we've already learned about what went wrong with the fire. That was all just me and my lawyers digging, wearing out the shoe leather. That was all without the ability to get records and testimony from public officials or the text messages that Karen Basura deleted after the fire. Well, now the floodgates are open and we're about to learn everything. Also, because our attorneys have done such an outstanding job with this case, the city of Malibu now sees that this case is a winner and they've joined in the dog pile. They are now suing Karen Basura and Gavin Newsom for the city and state's role in creating this disaster that destroyed half of their town. So in case you've not been keeping track.
Okay, he's excited. He has a lot of questions he still wants answered, and he blames the city. He blames the state for not doing a better job to protect people in the first place. I mean, not to mention the disaster that's unfolded since. Look, Mel Gibson has been out there over and over again complaining about it as well. Is Mel Gibson accusing Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass of a land grab?
There is absolutely no adequate excuse the governor or mayor can make for this gross mismanagement and failure to preemptively deal with what they knew was coming.
Right.
Was it incompetence? Was it indifference? Complacency? Carelessness? Was it negligence? Absolutely. Was it criminal negligence? See, there are many who say that it is criminal negligence. Do the mayor and the governor give a damn about you?
No, absolutely not.
I mean, that's clear.
Look, bottom line, people in California feel like Gavin Newsom doesn't care about them. And I think Americans overall don't trust who Gavin Newsom is, which is why you see this weakness in the polls, which is why you see CNN effectively calling it over before it even started. And yeah, the president doing so as well. Hey, I'm going to be back with you today because we got a big State of the Union coming up. So I want you to make sure that you're on the lookout for my reaction. It's not just the fraud, right? I mean, it's the fire stuff too. Spencer Pratt, he's made a crusade out of this one. He's very happy today because
my fault. Wrong one.
Right now.
National Early.
A big night ahead. State of the Union. I think it's going to be a good one. I hope you're here for it, at least for the reaction. I'll be joining you with some of that. But I want to get to today's news, which is just the complete implosion of the Democrat Party, specifically
Gavin Newsom, new scum.
Of the Democrat Party, and by key members, sadly enough, this is all they have to show for it, right? Gavin Newsom and AOC. Yeah, Gavin Newsom and AOC going up in smoke as we speak right now. Maybe that's why the market's higher today. I'm teasing, of course. Markets at the end of the day higher ahead of the State of the Union. Some of the concerns about software kind of blowing over. Some of the concerns about AI coming into sort of a reality check. We had a great piece on tariffs because that's an important component of this as well on 76 Research. I encourage you to go over there, look at our research, look at our portfolios. We got 3 model portfolios, all beating the S&P quite handily. So please go check that out. Get the 76 report. Use code word $, my gift to you today. Okay, we want to start here on CNN, effectively ending the career of AOC and Gavin Newsom simultaneously. This is pretty unbelievable. There's this guy I like, does all the polling stuff. Harry Anton is his name, and he was going through the numbers here today. And boy, he just came right out and said it. And then some. I mean, I think he compared them to a circus act and said they were floundering. And let's go to Harry. Let's hear from the horse's mouth. It's always funny to me because it's CNN, of course, and CNN doesn't like to actually admit that the Democrats are weak in any way, shape, or form. But numbers, my friends, numbers don't lie.
He's got a book, I think, which actually publishes today. He's in the middle of the fray of possible Democratic contenders. So what do the polls say?
Yeah, they're all running, and this is just a downright clown car at this point on the Democratic side. I mean, just take a look here. Top choices for the 2028 Dem-Pres nominee. You have a leader, but it's not really a clear leader. It's within the margin of error. You have Newsom at 19%. Then you have former Vice President Kamala Harris at 18%. Quite a weak number for her, given that, of course, she was the nominee last time around. Pete Buttigieg, who, of course, has run before, 13%. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez at 12%. This is just a total clown car. It is a total mess. There is no clear front runner at this particular point on the Democratic side. Who the heck knows who the nominee is going to be in 2 years?
It's been a long time since we've had a Democratic race like this.
Yeah, it has been a long time. This is very unusual for the Democratic side to not have a clear front runner at this point.
Yeah, okay. Unusual, but also unusual that CNN would actually call it out and say that, for him to call it a clown car and to say that they got no one. I mean, they really do have no one, though. And I think you probably have to go all the way back to 1992 before you found an opportunity like this one, right? Like, so somebody could come out of nowhere. Hello, we're asking, is there anybody out there, anybody that could possibly run as a Democrat and succeed? Because it's like one thing after another. The hits keep on coming. I mean, you think about what happened in Minnesota.
Right, the frauds after the frauds. Kamala Harris, what she got paid that $20 million back out of a $1 billion campaign? $1 billion campaign, and she owed $20 million. Did she pay that back?
Hunt's going down. You know what? I know everybody's worried about it. I know you feel like this DOJ isn't doing squat, but I'm going to tell you, Treasury Secretary Bessent is on this one. He's got the Treasury all over this. He has got the IRS all over this. So this is not going to be a pretty year for one Ilhan Omar and the hubby, Timmy Minette. We've been all over that story. But my point just is the Democrats have been taking the hits and they just keep coming. Gavin Newsom especially is getting really strung out here. I mean, AOC too, she made a total fool of herself on the international stage at Munich and then got home and started crying about it with her dog by her side. We hope it was her dog by her side because that would be some pretty aggressive snoring otherwise speaking. Anyway, back to Harry here, talking about the Dems in general, just how sort of rudderless. Yeah, rudderless. I'll use that word. They have no direction. They don't know what to do right now.
National early poll leader at least 25%. Look at this. This year, we get the giant question mark. No one. In 2020, when there was no incumbent, it was Joe Biden who was there, Hillary Clinton in both 2008 and 16, and Al Gore in both 2000 and 2004 at this point, we're at least at 25% of the early polls.
Just to be clear, this isn't predicted because she didn't win in this primary and he didn't run, but this gives you a sense of a year out.
Okay, well, he's trying to say, hey, I mean, maybe it's not that bad because when you don't have a clear winner, maybe there's an opportunity for somebody else to come in. I don't think anybody else is coming in. I think they've got their field. I think that they basically chew up and spit out their young, which is how you wound up, ladies and gentlemen, with one Joe Biden instead of, say, a Gavin Newsom, right? If they had primaried Joe Biden, you wouldn't have been in a situation quite as handily as to have Donald Trump waltz in there and just trounce all over Kamala Harris all day long. They couldn't even put Gavin in at last minute. Not that he would be any better, but he might have at least been able to string a couple of words together on like the Queen of Wheat word salad. I almost said something else.
Good morning. Thank you guys for being with me. An hour and 30 minutes in. Thank you.
Cannabis company, for goodness sakes. Anyway, Harry also made a few points, very directed points at one Gavin Newsom. And I think this is important to hear, okay? Because for CNN to be saying this, and this goes along with a few things they've been saying lately, where they're calling out blue states and saying the blue states don't have their act together. Everybody's leaving the blue states in droves. Why? Higher taxes with nothing to show for it. Anyway, Harry just slamming Gavin. Poor Gavin. Here we go.
So what about Newsom? What are the prediction markets saying his odds are?
Yeah, okay. So it seems to me that Gavin Newsom is flailing a little bit, at least compared to where he was prior. Because just take a look here. Okay, Chance Newsom is the 2028 Democrat nominee. 3 months ago, according to the Couch prediction market, look at that. It was a 37% chance. Now, it's just a 28%. Down he goes. He's definitely flailing a little bit. And I will note, John, that it also seems to me people are a little less interested in Gavin Newsom than they used to be. Look at this. Google searches for Gavin Newsom down 63% from the August peak. You remember back then it was when he started that social media, right, going after President Trump. There was a lot of interest from Democratic voters, but maybe that interest is waning off just a little bit. And of course, you don't necessarily want to wane it off just yet because I think we still have a lot of time till the votes, right?
There is still some time to go.
Yeah, but I mean, if the enthusiasm and this is this bad this early on, that's not very good. They say there's the danger of peaking too early in politics, and this may be part of Gavin's problem. His opportunity was
Bearded Vikings.
Okay, but
Good
they
morning.
couldn't give it to him because the ladies on The View would have gone absolutely crazy. The ladies on The View were like, no, we have to have a black woman, and the black woman happened to have been the vice president of the United States. So if they had passed over the black woman, Kamala Harris, it would have been a disaster.
Bearded Vikings. Thank you for being in my chat, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I frankly think they would have been.
Name is Deunta. Thank you.
Showing some kind of fighting chance. She couldn't have possibly won in any kind of primary race. I mean, we saw she was one of the first to drop out of New Hampshire originally. So she's not a good candidate. They should have known that. As for Gavin, also not a good candidate given everything that's happened in California, and those happenings keep piling up. We'll get into some of that. By the way, the Palisade fires, those are going through discovery right now. Spencer Pratt just coming out with a big statement about that today, on top of which you've got Dr. Oz circling, alleging just massive amounts of fraud. They're talking about 80 billion. It could dwarf basically what we saw in Minnesota. So none of this bodes well for Gavin Newsom. So much so that Trump called it last night. The president of the United States putting out on Truth Social. This was good. Last night, 9:23 p.m. Wow, Gavin Newsom just dropped out of the presidential race. Because it certainly seemed that way. You see, because he did this series of interviews. He's got this new book coming out. And, it's amazing, right? Harry Anton saying nobody's even searching him on Google despite the new book. Wow. Okay. So he's really jumped the shark. Talking about, again, sort of firing on all cylinders ahead of when you should be. This is his problem. So these new interviews that came out were just like an abomination. He's sitting there like telling black people, I'm just like you, and proceeds to tell them how dumb he is and how he couldn't get a decent score on the SAT and how he can't read.
That's crazy.
Can you imagine? I mean, what an insanely
The people
racist
clapping
kind
for
of
him.
thing to say. Like, I'm just like you because I'm a dummy too. It's like, speak for yourself, buddy. Okay, speak for yourself. So the president predicting in the here and now that Gavin is gone, and he's right. I got to show you these things, guys, because there's more that's come out today. I mean, this guy's digging a hole and he just can't get out of it. But first, a quick shout out to one of our new sponsors here on the show. And this is a sponsor that can come in handy for anybody who likes to have a good time now and then. I mean, I don't mean a crazy good time, but after alcohol aid, its ingredients support both your brain and... Okay, now for the fun part. Well, that was kind of fun too, right? The shocking news that we are getting right now on Gavin Newsom, who's just imploding in real time with all these interviews. You see, he's got a new book out, and he thought it would be great to go and do these interviews. The problem is, well, he's his own worst enemy. There was this little moment, don't forget, when he was talking about the SAT. He said he basically failed the whole thing and then volunteered that he can't read. We got to play it. We just have to play it. Here we go.
I'm not trying to impress you. I'm just trying to impress upon you. I'm like you.
No, you're
I'm
not.
no better than you.
This is a black audience that he's speaking to. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's just listen.
And watch how he started laughing.
It's a black audience, and he's like, I'm a dummy.
Y'all call me a coon and bootlicker, but this guy from the laugh with Gavin Newsom calling him stupid. Make it make sense. This guy can be straight laughing, and they up there clapping, and this guy saying he's slow. He's slow, and they clapping about that. Crazy.
Just like you. I mean, you can't get sort of more racist if you think about it, and it's very underhanded, elitist kind of way.
960 SAT guy.
Oh, what's that?
960 SAT guy. Than you. I'm a 960 SAT guy.
And he's proud of it. Have you noticed how he's starting to also adapt some of the speech patterns?
Yeah, he's talking like he from the
Joe
streets.
Biden? It's like Gavin's getting old before his time. He's not that old. He was married to my friend Kimberly, for goodness sakes. And yet, watch how he's talking.
And I'm not trying to offend anyone, trying to act all there if you got 940.
Really?
But literally a 960 SAT guy. I cannot, you've never seen me read a speech because I cannot read a speech.
No.
Maybe the wrong business to be in.
You ain't black if you don't vote Democrat.
Exactly who we want.
You might want to just say that
President of
then.
the United States.
That's
This guy who can't read
crazy.
a speech. Apparently, he's talking about how he's got some dyslexic challenges. I guess that's what he was getting at. More on that in a second. But first, keep it in mind, he just told us he can't read. He just told us he got a 960 on the SAT. He just said, I've never read a speech because I can't read a speech. But, just a short time ago on, I think this is his podcast, he's talking to these two people who wrote a book. And he's like, oh my gosh, I love your book. I love your book.
Crazy.
I read it in like an hour. An hour and a half.
Subscribe.
I mean, so which is it? Gavin, are you like a speed reader?
You probably use
the
audiobook.
960 SAT that can't read? Watch.
You've written a hell of a book, and I don't say that lightly. I went through it in a quick hour and a half, almost 2 hours.
Woo! Not bad for the guy who can't read.
Trust me, I don't read very fast, but it reads at an unbelievable pace. It's so well written. And of course, it's so familiar because I felt a little bit adjacent to so much of the subject matter. But it's 18 chapters. It's an impressive piece of work.
Damn, he must use Autobook. He had to.
I don't think he read it. I think he's making the whole thing
He
up.
probably listened to it.
I think that he just tells anybody what he wants to think they want to hear said. And this is why you really can't trust him. And even NPR in a recent interview sort of got at this, like, who the heck are you? We don't really know who you are, Gavin. You're just, Johnny come lately, whichever way the wind blows, you want to tell us something great.
Thank you, guys.
So
thank you.
This question is coming up because, you see, he just basically told us he suffers from dyslexia. And now we're finding videos where he's like speed reader, with an A+.
You got to flip-flop for
English,
people.
Apparently, he knows how many chapters. Was it 17? And his press person got asked about this by a reporter. And the press person, I've got a picture of this guy. Izzy Garden is his name. And this is a picture courtesy of the New York Post that printed this. They found a picture of him, I guess, on X. And this is little Izzy. So Izzy is, he thinks he's a high roller because he's working for Gavin Newsom. And he decides to mouth off with all of these obscenities because, of course, Gavin's really into obscenities too, when talking to a reporter from Real Clear Politics who just wants a little bit of evidence about the dyslexia. So she writes, this is Susan Crabtree, can she get a little evidence? And he writes back, hey, Susan, thanks for reaching out. Respectfully, F off. Except
What?
I'm nice. I actually crossed it out, but you know exactly what he was saying. She was a little surprised. So she tweeted this out. I mean, this is the kind of people he's got surrounding himself on his campaign staff. Okay, think about that, guys. And I'm going to say, this is indicative of sort of the character he has, because don't forget how many swears have been flying out of his mouth too. She writes, here are the exact questions. So she sent these in. She's like, hi there, it's very friendly. I know any type of learning disability is very sensitive, but I also see that Governor Newsom and his press team have been using the diagnosis to hit back at Sean Hannity and other critics in the wake of Newsom's comments over the weekend that he had a 960 on his SAT.
No problem, Kathy. Thank you.
Right?
Thank you, Kathy. Appreciate it.
Moderator and to a black audience. And so she's wondering if they can
Thank
provide
you. I go live Monday through Thursday, 8 in the morning.
kind of diagnosis about this. And, it's a fair question given what he said and given his reaction in fury when
I work the
Sean
weekends.
Hannity
I
and
will go
others,
live on the
myself
weekends,
included,
but I
brought
work
this
the
up on
weekends,
X, as I
12-hour
did on the
shifts.
show. Like, it's a little much, right? And it's a little insulting.
If I do go
And
live,
then
it'd be after
what
6 a.m. After 6 p.m. After 6 p.m.
happens, the guy writes back,
Thank you.
F you. Oh, no. She said that was her mistake.
Thank
He
you.
didn't say F you. He said F off.
Name is Deunta.
This comes from the top. I'm just saying. It comes from the top. If you talk to any of the people, especially the press people that are involved with the Trump team, they're lovely. And that's not just because I'm more on their side than not.
When it comes to my channel, I welcome everybody. I like Trump. I like his policy in American First. I'm not here to push nothing on nobody at all. I appreciate you guys coming to my channel. I thank you. I do long form, shorts, go live. Here to grow with you guys and share. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to tell you that they've always been lovely. In fact, when I first interviewed him years ago, they were always lovely. His team always responded to you. There was a kind of business work ethic that you don't often see in politics. This guy reminds me of one of the Obama handlers that I ran into on the campaign trail. I was a young CBS News correspondent, and I wanted to interview Obama. It was like early in the cycle, and frankly, he was lucky to have CBS News there at his little event to begin with. And I asked him some innocuous question. It was not like it was a hard one or something. I threw him up in his face and asked him some question.
You can't play.
And this
I'm
little
not.
two-bit nothing, this little kid,
I'm not.
He reminds me of this little Izzy guy.
Thank you for being in the chat. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
I'll never forget it. This little guy who's like, how dare you? How dare you? That's a CBS News correspondent, national news correspondent. How dare you? And you're going to pay for this. I'm like, people. So what I would just say is you find that too often in politics, but you don't see that in business. In business, everybody's like, okay, you're asking a question. Let me try my best to give you an answer. And that is the kind of staff member that I have found from day one on Trump's team, and even before he was in politics, if you wanted to call him up and do an interview, and I did, even when I was at CBS, guess what? Your call would always get returned, and so he was a straight shooter that way. I don't like who Gavin's got around him, but you know what? I don't really like Gavin either. I'm going to be perfectly honest, and I certainly don't trust him. By the way, I'm not the only one that doesn't trust him. Just look at what NPR said in a question with him. This girl's asking him questions. This just came out today, and she's like, really, buddy, who are you? We don't know. We might want to know. I mean, if you're going to run for president.
Good morning.
You probably aren't, because you're nowhere in the polls.
Some random guy. Good morning. Some random guy. Good
I
morning.
married into a big Republican family, and I love my Republican father-in-law.
Okay.
And that's why I'm here in a rural part of a red state.
Okay, I want to understand who you are.
Yeah, I got hurt. I'm going to play Cash Jordan next.
Overall strategy here. On one hand, you are bringing people like the late Charlie Kirk, like Steve Bannon onto your podcast. On the other hand,
I'm just showing how bad these Democrat leaders are from California, New York, and Illinois.
you're trolling President Trump on X.
Yeah.
You mock his writing style. You mock his body. You are selling MAGA branded knee
We shouldn't be
pads.
body shaming. Let me double check that.
These MAGA branded knee pads are there for all your groveling to Trump needs.
That's for the universities, the law firms. That's for major corporate leaders as well as major media companies. Yes,
but how
those
do you
knee pads are
square-
for them.
Okay, how do you square those playground insults with the listening sessions that you're having with these conservatives on the podcast?
Because I think you can be both and.
But what
It's
if you're
not a
confusing
zero-sum
people
game.
as to what you sincerely believe? Like, why not present just one Gavin Newsom, one consistent tone across
He's
all
a chameleon.
I am.
What's the consistent tone?
I'm who I am. I'm consistently me. I'm interested in other people.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes I'm a brilliant reader that can read an entire 17-chapter book in an hour and a half, and sometimes I got dyslexia. Just depends on which me shows up on any given day.
I'm interested in what makes them work. I don't talk down or past people. I believe all of us want to be protected, connected, and respected. All of us need to be loved and need to love. To me, that's universal.
But you don't think you're talking down to President Trump on your X account?
I'm putting a mirror up to President Trump, and I'm fighting fire with fire, and I'm punching a bully back in the mouth.
Oh, come on.
So there's a guy who crosses his legs.
You don't talk down to anyone? What about the woman that was asking you about her home during the fire, and you're like, oh yeah, I got the president right here. I'm calling the president. I'm calling him. You didn't have the president. He wasn't calling him. None of that happened. Yeah, I'd like to know, just like NPR, like, who are you? Who are you? Because I think you're just, whichever way the wind blows, whatever's working for you in a given moment, you don't know who you are, do you? You're probably some failed actor wannabe. You had every advantage in life. Your parents, your grandfather, your father all worked for the Gettys, the oil Gettys. You had every advantage, and somehow you chose to go into politics. You can't read. Well, so you tell us. But then again, 17 chapters in an hour and a half, ladies and gentlemen. Meanwhile, you got a nasty side to you too, don't you?
Yeah.
Right, Gavin Newsom? Because I saw what you were saying about Kamala.
Uh-oh.
And Willie Brown. Yeah. You must really feel threatened. Those polls are so darn close, and CNN saying none of you got a shot in HELL. So you had to come out with this little doozy. Watch.
And for those that don't know Willie Brown, you wouldn't know Kamala Harris.
What?
Woo!
What about Montel Williams?
Kamala and I both got elected the same.
Damn.
Okay.
Under the bus.
He's probably right. And I've told you my story. I used to live in the same
Democrat
building.
eating their own.
Brown, my door person, made sure that I moved the car, because at one point we had 2 cars. Normally we just had 1 car when we lived in California. And the door person wanted to make sure that I wasn't woken up in the middle of the night because I had used one of the mayor's parking spots. The door person offered it to me. But the door person was like, you got to get out of there. You got to get out of there before 2 a.m. hits. I don't want to be calling you in the dead of the night, because the mayor, as they would call him in San Francisco, has his lady friends over. And I think back on that, and I'm like, his lady friends. I wonder if Kamala Harris was one of the lady friends. Maybe I'm better in the elevator. one early morning. Anyway, that's fine for me to say, but kind of tacky, don't you think, for Gavin to drop it just like that? Oh, very tacky, but he's worried about her because you know what? CNN has just called an end, effectively, along with Donald Trump, to his political career.
Yeah,
But
that's
we
funny.
should have known this. We should have seen this. I mean, this guy, again, just tells you what you want to hear. How about the one way back when he said Joe Biden was a master debater? Yeah. This was, right before, like 90 minutes before Joe Biden went up and spoke because of a god-awful debate. I mean, that was hilariously awful and concerning to watch, remember? But think about what Gavin was saying moments before.
Most effective debaters in decades. You look back at his last many debates. He's a skilled debater. He knows how to show up at prime time. He knows how to show up on game day. I have all the confidence in the world that when this next 90 minutes is up, he'll come out successful. He'll come out successfully defending his record and, more importantly, painting a compelling vision for the future. And so I thought it was important that President Biden asserted himself. He picked the date. He moved the calendar forward. He set the tone and tenor, and Trump agreed on all of this. So I think it's a very encouraging sign. I thought it was smart strategically, and I think it's the kind of energy he's going to.
Oh, yeah. You're going to win the debate by picking the time.
You got it, buddy. You got it.
Yeah, you go with that all day long.
You got it, buddy.
I mean,
Set them off.
Wow. Once again, let's go back to, well, we won't actually go back, but I'm going to repeat what the NPR lady said. Well, this is my translation of it. Basically, who are you? I'm getting excited here because, I think it's time we celebrate the downfall of the entire Democrat establishment. They deserve everything they're getting because they have lied to us over and over again. And they may have even stolen from us, too, when you consider what was going on in Minnesota and what we're getting word of out in California. I mean, not to mention, they just have a deplorable record. Yeah, I'm going to use the word deplorable.
Oh,
a la Hillary Clinton.
Hillary.
These guys are the real deplorables because they have promised all kinds of stuff. They haven't delivered on anything. And they've, in fact, driven so many economies into the ground while trying to tax the heck out of everyone to the point where, inflation is astronomical in the state of California, 11% higher than anywhere else in the nation, something that even CNN pointed out to Mr. Newsom.
California has the highest cost of living in the nation. The state's prices are 11% higher than the national average. We were actually out to dinner here in Nashville last night. We met a couple from California. They moved out of California because they couldn't afford the rent or even to buy a home and also start a family.
Yeah, we've had hundreds of thousands of people move in California the last 2-3 years. We've seen population growth. As you know, we moved from 6th to the 4th largest economy in the world, and we dominate now in every key industry from AI, quantum, robotics. We dominate in ag. We dominate forestry.
People are struggling to afford things like your mom was.
Okay, not only are they struggling to afford things, the ones that can afford to leave are leaving in droves. And just look at the population records. And I realize, Gavin, you have another sort of view of the world and you're looking through some kind of rose-colored glasses that are highly manipulative and not true. And so you come out and lie and say, oh, no, we're getting population growth. No, you're getting
people are leaving.
Massive amounts of people leaving and companies leaving every day because, these blue states have jumped the shark. And again, I go back to CNN. I don't know I might actually have to start watching them more often now because they're actually showing the other side of things. Amazing. They finally, I think, are confronting reality.
Two sides
when they
of
say things
everything.
like this.
Blue cities are out of control, promising more, spending more, delivering less, and pushing off the fiscal problems to some future.
And he's a Democrat, I believe.
Yeah.
Y'all said subscribe.
Because we're on to you. And you know what? Everybody's
Thank you.
We're so on to you guys. We know what you're doing, and you just have to look at what has happened population-wise. And I'll tell you, the handwriting's on the wall. Electoral college, goodbye. Congressional opportunities, goodbye again.
Look at this. The biggest population growth this decade, all 5 of the states that Donald John Trump won in 2024. Texas, Florida, North Carolina, Georgia, and of course the great state of Arizona, where I spent my New Year's Eve. I love those folks out in Prescott, Arizona. These were the biggest gainers in terms of population compared to the 2020 census. Now, it's not just a red state boom. This is what we're looking at. We're looking at a red state boom here, but it is not just a red state boom. We're also looking at what I would dare call a blue state depression, because who are the people? Who and where are the people moving from into the red states? Well, they're blue states. They're blue states. Take a look here. The lowest domestic net migration this decade. All 5 of the states that were won by Kamala Harris in 2024. Look at this. California, Harris's home state. New York, where I'm coming from right now, of course. Illinois, New Jersey, and of course, the great Commonwealth of Massachusetts, which is a bastion of blue liberalism. These are the states that folks in the United States are moving away from and into the red states, which is propelling a red state boom.
Yeah. Okay, you see what I'm talking about? So it's going to have broader implications, because now that all those people are moving into blue states, there's going to be greater populations centers there, which means that adds to the number of congressional reps you can have. And it also means more opportunity on the electoral college. And I suspect a lot of red types are moving in to these red states. So even though they're coming from blue states, my hunch is, you know what? You probably like lower taxes, and that's why you're moving to Florida. And you probably are okay with DeSantis, which is why you're moving to Florida. I mean, it kind of all makes sense, right? So you're actually going to grow the base for the Republican Party. So this is, again, really bad news for AOC and for one Gavin Newsom. And don't forget, we're talking an estimated $80 billion in fraud. I mean, the hospice stuff alone, right? This one citizen journalist is out there in some building, and you can't understand and can't believe why everybody's got a hospice business. Check this out. Another independent journalist hitting the pavement. He goes to a Los Angeles business center where apparently everybody's in the hospice business, but nobody's there.
Look at what this is uncovering. Hospice, home health care, Allegiance Home Health, Honeywell Home Health, the Wellspring Home Health, Dignity Care Hospice, Moonlight Hospice Incorporated, Thousand Oaks Hospice Incorporated. Some of those don't even have signs on their doors. And I walked 7 more feet, and what do we have? Sheltering Arms Hospice Care. It's absolutely ridiculous.
I like this citizen journalist thing. So, I mean, if we're to believe what we're hearing now from the administration, this is going to be a big problem. Don't forget to subscribe. It's really important right now. This is going to be a big problem for Gavin Newsom as well. We saw it was a problem for Tim Walz, right? Tim Walz had to resign from his political campaign for governor there in Minnesota as a result of all the fraud that was uncovered. And now Dr. Oz is on the ground in California, right?
I'm here in Los Angeles, U.S. Attorney's Office. We're talking about fraud. This place has become one of the epicenters for fraud, waste, and abuse in America. $3.5 billion just here in Los Angeles County. We think around hospice and home health care. And you add in all the other things like they had in Minnesota, but in California scale, it's huge. And what we have witnessed is a 7-fold increase in hospice in LA County. 7-fold. That doesn't happen naturally. There are not 7 times more deaths in LA County than there were 5 years ago. These fraudsters, and these do tend to be foreign influences. These are Russian, Armenian gangs, mafia, that are leading a lot of these efforts, we believe, have been able to corrupt and work with doctors who are willing to lie, to use that MD degree as a license to kill. A lot of it's driven by foreigners who came to Los Angeles, very different culture, Russian, Armenian groups, and this mafia seems to have taken over the system. They've corrupted doctors. They've normalized fraud so that everyone sort of expects it. But the magnitude of it is so great that we have to take it on aggressively. It's a focus area for CMS. And this administration under President Trump is not going to tolerate taxpayer dollars being stolen because people aren't paying attention anymore. We're focused on this.
Okay, so he's focused on that. It's good that he's focused on it. But for Gavin, I mean, I think it's just going to get really, really, really ugly. And I don't know is he's going to be able to quite weasel his way out of this one. He's suggested that it's discriminatory to go after Armenian hospice centers and sent a letter out late last month saying that this was wrong and that he didn't appreciate Dr. Oz posting this video to an official social media account that was going after the Armenian community in Los Angeles, including that a popular bakery's use of Russian American lettering and language in public signage was an indicator of affiliation with the mafia. He goes on and on and on and on. I would just say, they tried that with the Somali migrants that were involved with all of the wild fraud that happened in Minnesota. And while, it's never good to generalize and look, I mean, there's I get it, but simultaneously, if it all is going back to one immigrant community and it's very much prevalent within that community, then yes, you're going to have a problem, and you should probably start to look there in that particular community for more and more fraud. So again, this is reflecting really, really badly on Gavin Newsom, but it's not just the fraud, right? I mean, it's the fire stuff too. Spencer Pratt, he's made a crusade out of this one. He's very happy today because news today that the courts will allow for the discovery process in the Palisades fire. He's been demanding this for quite some time, and he's absolutely thrilled. Let's go to Spencer Pratt.
Massive news on the Palisades fire lawsuit as the judge has overruled the city and the state's demurs and is allowing the case to move forward. That means discovery time. Until now, our attorneys have had to fight for any information from state and local agencies about their failures on the fire because there's been a stay on discovery for nearly a year. Think about every insane thing we've already learned about what went wrong with the fire. That was all just me and my lawyers digging, wearing out the shoe leather.
That's crazy.
That was all without the ability to
Thank you.
testimony from public officials or the text messages that Karen Basura deleted after the fire. Well, now the floodgates are open and we're about to learn everything. Also, because our attorneys have done such an outstanding job with this case, the city of Malibu now sees that this case is a winner and they've joined in the dogpile. They are now suing Karen Basura and Gavin Newsom for the city and state's role in creating this disaster that destroyed half of their town. So in case you've not been keeping track.
Okay, he's excited. He has a lot of questions he still wants answered, and he blames the city, he blames the state for not doing a better job to protect people in the first place. I mean, not to mention the disaster that's unfolded since. Look, Mel Gibson has been out there over and over again complaining about it as well. Is Mel Gibson accusing Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass of a land grab?
There is absolutely no adequate excuse the governor or mayor can make for this gross mismanagement and failure to preemptively deal with what they knew was coming. Was it incompetence? Was it indifference? Complacency? Carelessness? Was it negligence? Absolutely. Was it criminal negligence? See, there are many who say that it is criminal negligence. Do the mayor and the governor give a damn about you?
No, absolutely not.
Stop voting.
I mean, that's clear.
For the stupid shit.
Look, bottom line, people in California feel like Gavin Newsom doesn't care about them. And I think Americans overall don't trust who Gavin Newsom is, which is why you see this weakness in the polls, which
Don't
is
trust
why
that smile.
you see CNN effectively calling it over before it even started. And yeah,
They gotta
the president
go.
doing so as well. Hey, I'm going to be back with you today because we got a big State of the Union coming up. So I want you to make sure that you're on the lookout for my react.
Well, immigration operations in LA have not only affected families, a new report says ICE raids have severely impacted local businesses.
So, after years of sustaining themselves with illegal immigration, America's sanctuaries are starting to collapse. And this has leaders like California's squirmer-in-chief in a no-win situation because while their open borders voters beg them to do something and stand up to Trump, polls show Americans favor deporting people who break our laws. But as you're about to see, these sanctuaries are such a disaster, even the federal fugitives they're designed for can't live in them and are walking away.
So here on Skid Row, we got migrants from Colombia, and
There's little kids here and they live inside this tent.
Protect the children, damn it.
Special act to be like this when they cross over the border.
The study says the economic impact isn't
Protect our
isolated to
children.
just Spanish-speaking businesses. Researchers say there's a ripple effect to the immigration operations, and that's one of the recurring themes that we heard from a variety of business owners.
Subscribe, everybody. Subscribe.
Down on cities
Let's
across
grow
the country that
together.
are resisting the administration's immigration enforcement policies.
There will be no more payments to sanctuary cities because they are really just sanctuaries for criminals. They're really protecting criminals, and those are the ones we have to get out of the country.
The number of foreign-born people in America fell by 1.5 million in the first 6 months of 2025. Meanwhile, ICE is on track to deport just 400,000. A lot more illegal migrants are self-deporting than being expelled.
She says now she receives money from the state and county. She uses much of it to rent this trailer.
And how much is it a month?
$1,700.
Wow, that's a lot.
So self-deportation bonuses are now $2,600. And what nobody's talking about, when millions of people choose to take this money and obey America's laws, we're all shown
Thank
what
you
an
guys for being in the chat with me.
scam
Thank you,
the
thank
open
you.
border's been for every single person involved. And it certainly doesn't benefit people who are here illegally and are now accepting a $2,600 stipend to leave our country. And with 1.9 illegal immigrants having made the choice to self-deport, it's pretty obvious people aren't experiencing the prosperous future sanctuary politicians and gang members promised them. And that's the thing. We were all told that if the border were opened up, it was not going to be any problem. We had all these jobs in America just waiting for people. Folks were going to come on in. Everyone was going to be prospered. It was going to be great, except it wasn't for anybody, except, of course, the politicians and criminals who benefited from all this. But now that businesses are emptying out and people are living in tents on the sidewalk, we're learning how fragile these sanctuary economies are to begin with. People here aren't living the American dream, which is why they're leaving. A nightmare scenario never envisioned by those who promised America's best days were just ahead of it. If only we would keep the border open a little longer. And that brings us to the real reason these places are imploding. Running a sanctuary city that's too unaffordable even for its own legal residents, that's a recipe for disaster, and people are going to flee that place even if ICE doesn't set foot in it. And ICE isn't deporting millions of people. Instead, people are choosing to leave these overpriced, lawless strongholds on their own. And they aren't leaving to affordable red states, because if you go to a place like Florida, they're going to cooperate with the government and you'll get deported if they catch you committing a crime or working illegally at a business, enabling its owners to undercut their competitors, disenfranchising the law-abiding yet again. And as you're about to see, it very well may be the federal fugitives living illegally in these sanctuaries who benefit the least from them, which is the opposite of what they were promised.
¿Ustedes son de Colombia?
Sí, somos colombianos, le gusta la música.
¿Y a cuánto tiempo ustedes llevan aquí en los Estados Unidos?
Llevo 2 años.
Cuando ustedes vinieron aquí a los Estados Unidos, ¿pensaban que iba a llegar aquí a este punto a vivir aquí en esta calle?
No, pensábamos que iba a ser una vida diferente.
Vinimos a cambiar la vida.
Ajá.
Yo pensaba que íbamos a cambiar nuestras vidas, no íbamos a estar así como perros, no es como estamos como perros.
Y Dylan, ¿te gusta vivir aquí en los Estados Unidos?
No. This is sad, but it reveals that they were lied to. They're not stupid. They didn't come envisioning that this would be how they live. And this is who the Department of Homeland Security $2,600 deportation bonus is for. It's to humanely help people get off the streets, which is why they're taking this money and running away as fast as they can, taking the entire fraudulent economy that was built on an open border with them.
Entonces, ustedes pasaron por mucho para llegar aquí a los Estados Unidos y ahora está viviendo en carpas aquí en uno de los más peligrosos lugares en todo el mundo.
¿Sí?
¿Y tu calidad de vida está mejor aquí que fue allí en Colombia?
En Colombia, estoy 1000 veces mejor en Colombia.
There it is. That's why these local businesses are imploding. The people that live in these sanctuaries, they can't afford to live there. They don't have money to go to your bakery. They don't have money for coffee. They don't have money for your restaurant. At the same time, these folks are on the run from the law. They're not supposed to be here. And if their lives would be better in a country where they're a legal resident and America's willing to pay to get them there. This is an easy decision.
Nica Tomas fulfilled her dream of living in the United States and was able to send money back to her family.
My boss, my manager, as they say over there, treated me horribly. He told me that my English wasn't good enough. I told him he was racist, that he was mean. I said to him, you can see that I'm working hard, yet you keep demanding more.
This is very sad, but it's the reality of an open border that has been hidden from America for a long time, and we're finally finding out about it. At the same time, we were told that people coming into this country, they were going to take jobs in restaurants and in construction, but those jobs aren't paying people enough to live in these super expensive blue cities anyways, where they've got a massive cost of living crisis, super expensive apartments. The whole thing is a disaster, and I can't believe people are trying to blame law enforcement for the collapse of these places.
Crazy.
Maybe a 30% drop. Bob Alenani's flower shop sits in Mission Hills, one of the areas a new study shows has been hit hardest by federal immigration enforcement. Since last summer, we've known a drop-off. The Los Angeles County Economic Development Corporation found that many small businesses countywide have lost revenue and customers since ICE ramped up its presence in Los Angeles last year.
We found that undocumented workers generate nearly $254 billion in economic output in Los Angeles County. So that's roughly 17%.
I believe it. There are estimates that say 20 million people entered the country when the border was open, but economic output is meaningless if the people who provide that output can't afford to live there and are living in tents. If people are starving and living on the sidewalk, that is not a healthy economy.
No, it's not.
And you know what? That's going to collapse on its own sooner or later. You're not living the good life in a tent in New York or in California. But the politicians here told us that people coming into the country illegally would be super happy with an illegal job paying them minimum wage or less, which hasn't been the case at all. And even with benefits from these local governments that provide food and housing, people have still decided not to come out and spend money at these businesses. They would rather just leave the country.
The number of foreign-born people in America fell by 1.5 million in the first 6 months of 2025.
That's a lot of people.
Meanwhile, ICE is on track to deport just 400,000 illegal immigrants for the whole year. A lot more illegal migrants are self-deporting than being expelled.
Why would they do that?
Which is surely how most Americans want things to go. And it's a lot more practical than any kind of mass roundups.
And look at this. Look at all the benefits to self-deportation. We got them right here. It's safe. You can leave on your own terms. You can pick your own flight. If you self-deport as a non-criminal illegal alien, you can keep all the money you made when you were here. And if you self-deport, instead of being deported, you can come back legally in the future if you want to. At the same time, if somebody's earning more than $2,600 a month, wouldn't it make sense to stick around and try to earn more money, right? Why wouldn't people take that chance? They're already in a sanctuary city where they're getting government benefits to stick around. Everything is being done to help people who aren't supposed to be here stay in these sanctuaries, and it's still not enough because these places are so unaffordable, nobody can live in them, legal or not.
In other words, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Prodding and persuasion are always going to be crucial in undoing the Biden mess. ICE, despite a big expansion of its budget and the firm support of the president, can't detain and deport that many people.
Right.
It would require mass roundups that aren't remotely politically practical. Voters
There you
want
go.
all the worst illegal immigrants sent home.
Thank you.
But will balk at hand-handed
Thank you.
enforcement. So seriously reducing the illegal population is going to involve a lot of self-deportation.
And the self-deportation is working. But here's the thing. The people who are self-deporting, these are not the hardened criminals. These are not the cartel enforcers.
Right, the criminals still, they want hiding. Those one we gotta get.
Members who've been able to come here and through illegal activity live their best days. And when the president gets out there and he says, we don't want to fund these sanctuary cities anymore because they are harboring criminals, he is 100% right. Tren de Aragua, these gang members, these thugs that are setting themselves up, stealing apartments in places like Chicago and Colorado, these guys are making more than $2,600 a month. That's why they're sticking around. And since they're criminals, they're already used to evading law enforcement. Those are literally the only people who benefit from sanctuary city laws, like these burglary gangs we're seeing all all over the place in LA robbing homes. Why are they still there, sticking around? Because they benefit by sticking around. The people who are leaving on their own, these are people who came in, they were told the border's open, there's no consequences, and the consequence of that was that these politicians were lying. The consequence was a tent on the street because these places are unaffordable. There's no opportunity in them, and that's why you see lines like this.
Pues nosotros no esperamos llegar a vivir así afuera, en la calle, pues.
We never expected to live on the street. That's what Colombian asylum seeker Yeselia Gomez says about life in the U.S. She lives in a homeless encampment, sleeping in a tent on a dirt field off the side of the highway near downtown San Diego.
Wow. Pero sí, es algo difícil, la verdad.
The Gomez family is just one of more than a dozen living here. They're all migrants, mostly from Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Colombia, all here in search of their American dream.
And this is what was waiting for them. You know something? If this had been on the brochures at the southern border telling people to come into this country and that there were no consequences and everything was going to be great and this was the land of opportunity, people would have decided not to show up. And that's why they're now self-deporting, because this is the reality. At the same time, ask any legal resident who's now looking for a job and trying to live in one of these places. It's tough. Food is super expensive. Housing is super expensive. And we were supposed to believe that folks who may have had a barrier to interacting with our economy, maybe a language barrier or a skill-based barrier, were going to come in and thrive in these places. I mean, what an absolute lie. If anything, all these sanctuary laws do is trap people in a situation that is worse for them than where they left.
Hello. Says this is a horrible place for her children. There's no water, no bathrooms, no electricity.
No es bueno estar en este lugar porque usted ve las condiciones, aquí no tenemos baño, aquí no tenemos agua.
Hernandez fled Venezuela with her husband and 3 children. They've been living in the encampment for 2 months. She says they don't feel safe out here anymore.
No, ya no me siento segura aquí.
Yeah, living on the street.
Right, in a tent. That's crazy. I get it. Y'all didn't come to America for that. Should have came the right way.
So, this video was filmed when the border was open, and this was supposed to show how terrible the crisis actually was, and it has done a fantastic job of doing it. Folks came in, and none of what they were told was waiting for them here actually existed. And now we got people like Nick Shirley who are out on the streets finding the exact same thing last week. This is still going on. It's terrible. People need that $2,600 to go home.
What happened in Chicago years back when Venezuela came? They all in Chicago's police stations, in front of the police station with their tents and clothes and everything they use, all their personal belongings in front of the police station. They supposed to serve and protect us, but they got to go ahead and make sure that the immigrants taken care of too. But they outside of the police station, camping out overnight for days. That's not right.
They're taking it. There's no future here for them. But why was this scam perpetuated? Pretty simple. You've got politicians who like to say that, we're being sympathetic. We're not like Trump. We're kind. We're caring. We're compassionate. Bring people in. Meanwhile,
but you had them all lined up in the streets
all the
in
criminals
tents.
out there making billions of dollars. Cartels were making $13 billion a year on this, which didn't benefit anybody.
But they are eligible for shelter. That is, if there were any available. San
They
Diego
both terrible. I agree. I agree. They all actors.
This is crazy.
Trevor says it's common for struggling families to pay 70% of their income just on
That's
housing.
not prosperity.
We have hundreds of people who show up at the homelessness response center daily seeking shelter, and we are often turning most of them away.
And this overburdened homeless system is where new migrants find themselves in.
Now, how was the homeless system not going to completely break down? Of course it was overburdened. People were brought into places where they were told they were going to have a great next few months, next few weeks. It might be tough at first, but don't worry, you'll get on your feet eventually. And people never did. That's the scam. That's why we've still got people and families living on the streets in these places. These folks were lied to. Did they break the law? Absolutely. But that's what the $2,600 is for. Hey, leave on your own terms. You don't have to live in a homeless shelter in California. You don't have to try to pay rent that people living in this country with a college degree can't even find a job that lets them afford. But here's the other part of this. A lot of the folks that are living in these places, where are they from? They say they're from Venezuela. They say they're from countries that were having a lot of problems a few years ago. Well, South America is changing rapidly. It's becoming safer. There are countries that you didn't want to live in a few years ago, which now may have their best days ahead of it, like Venezuela in particular. That's another reason to leave. If your home country has now been drastically improved, why live in a homeless shelter in America? Why not go back to where you're from, legally, get paid to do it, and live a better life?
Fulfilled her dream of living in the United States and was able to send money back to her family. But after 6 years, she's returned to her country disillusioned.
My boss, my manager, as they say over there, treated me horribly. He told me that my English wasn't good enough. I told him he was racist, that he was mean. I said to him, "You can see that I'm working hard, yet you keep demanding more, while you don't say anything to the others."
Wow.
The United States is no El Dorado. I went there, I left, and I have no intention of going back. I prefer...
Whoa! No intention of going back. Did you hear that? This is the worst advertising ever exist. You have people who came to America and they were there for 6 years. They lived in a place where they were exploited, where their bosses were horrible to them and mean to them. Why? Because these sanctuary cities are full of people who are desperate for work, and these employers, economy's booming for them because they've got people who are willing to work for very, very little who they can treat terribly. It's a horrible situation. She says she's never going back because she doesn't have problems like that in her own country. Yet we're supposed to believe it's ICE's fault that people are leaving these places. We're supposed to believe it's ICE's fault that nobody wants to come and work at these businesses. Well, if this is how the managers of these places are treating their workers, who are hardworking people, I can't blame them for leaving.
May I speak with the business owner, please?
US companies outsource sales and customer service calls south of the border.
You
start making a decent income, and then you realize, I don't need to be in the United States.
Wow!
At $5 to $7 an hour.
That's crazy. Wow. Yeah.
It's a bargain for American farmers, but it's considered a good wage by Mexican standards.
Yeah, and you don't have to live in a tent.
Still, deportation is traumatic.
Yeah, nobody wants to get deported. That's why you should leave on your own. But take a look at this call center. These aren't people who are living in poverty. These aren't people who are living in a tent on the side of the street. And look, they've got jobs. They're doing better than a lot of Americans are doing. And these are people who were living in America illegally. They were here trying to make it, didn't work out, and now they're able to get jobs and improve their lives somewhere else, which is the last thing these sanctuary politicians want. It's the last thing these criminals profiting from an open border want. But the reality is a tent on the side of the street is not the American dream.
I'm going to play one more video. I'm going to cut it after that. I'll be back soon. Thank you, guys.
Nobody's going to let criminals sneak into America for 10 grand if that 10 grand is the last $10,000 they'll ever have. Yet what happens? All of this illegal immigration, it rolls into the industrial fraud complexes taking over these places.
Mr. Chicago conservative, you may read again.
This is my homie Vashawn, the Chicago conservative, Vashawn.
Welcome, sir. Appreciate that. Will not hold Trump accountable, then Chicago will.
Subscribe to his channel, everybody. Chicago conservative, Vashawn.
Okay?
It's my homie.
I love the Groiper hat. Nick Fuentes would be proud, guys. He would be very, very proud of the Groiper hats. Because, you know, they're draining the swamp, I guess.
But let's just be honest, guys. What do you mean the city of Chicago is going to hold Trump accountable? Do you know how ridiculous that sounds? He's the president of the United States. But I forgot. We're going to hold the president of the United States accountable with the entity of Chicago. First of all, Guy, you keep trying to push this authoritarian motive. But here's the thing. It's within the Constitution to not harbor illegal migrants. If they're not documented, Brandon Johnson, they have to go. We're not saying they can't come back. You know how many people self-deported under Donald Trump, left, and then came back into America the right way?
Hello.
And they thank Donald Trump for that. So I don't get what's the problem.
Right, if you come the right way, you get the right treatment. You won't get no tents or sleep in front of a police station. You get you a nice house and everything else the right way.
I don't get it. But Brandon Johnson, him challenging President Trump, it's just going to be more bad for Chicago, guys. The more he opens his mouth, the more Chicago gets screwed.
Yep, no more funding.
Tonight,
Well, not no more, but it's
across America
going to be on hold.
to join us in our fight for true accountability, to protect the soul of America, to defeat the hate and division which has fueled Trump's mass deportation campaign. We must fight his attacks, particularly his attacks on public accommodations with a demand.
We must fight, we must do this, and we must use our hands when we talk because we want to be a civil rights leader. So now you just want to be MLK and Jesse J. Like, this is just what you truly want to be, huh? If you wanted to be a civil rights leader, why didn't you just do that? You didn't have to be the fucking mayor to, speak your mind when it comes to black politics. I mean, I get it. I believe in free speech, but you have to become the mayor to do that. You have to give illegal migrants over. Well, me personally, now I think it's like
Subscribe to his channel, subscribe to my channel.
You're gonna give over
That's
$1 billion
Bashan.
to illegal migrants. I mean, come on, dude, make it make sense.
Hands of those who were formerly enslaved fought for education and housing, healthcare, transportation, and good-paying jobs. We have to defend the very honor of these institutions that people fought and died and bled for.
Look at that.
Cripers!
Karen and Kevin.
I love the Cripers!
Karen and Kevin's. Kevin and Kevin's.
He has defunded the social safety nets that feeds our children, that houses our veterans, and provides medical care to our elderly. And these attacks are designed to break our spirit. But in the words of a great psalmist, he will not break our soul.
Don't look like that, you lame. So if you guys haven't caught on,
Right.
Because Trump stated
Subscribe.
recently, and I guess some weirdo thought it was okay to make their own State of the Union speech or something like that, and I guess they were just all filled with crazy libtards. And Brandon Johnson had to be there because he's the worst mayor in America. Okay, but look. You guys know I'm objectively true, so I will have to admit to this, guys. Look, I don't want the swamp in there either. I'm a Republican, okay? I never agree with anything Brandon Johnson have to say when it comes to, his policies on Chicago and things like that. But I will have to give Brandon Johnson this 1 point, bro. And y'all know I can't stand this nigga's guts. But aid to Israel has to stop, bro. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Aid to Israel.
You're right. You gotta stop.
We have to make sure our country is good first. Look, I get that.
Take care of USA. Take care of USA. Take care of us.
Like Iranians and things like
Take
that.
care of home.
And people that's within Palestine, and you guys have Hamas and the Houthis and Hezbollah, and you guys know all the good stuff. All right, I get that part, and we all know that. We let some of these people inside of our own country as well, which is not a good idea. I tell people this all the time. I don't believe in people who are from foreign countries. I don't believe that they should have any place within our government at all, whether you're Muslim, Jewish. I honestly could care less. If you're not from America, you don't need a place in our government at all.
At all.
Now, we know lobbying exists, but that's a whole nother topic, guys. Let's just continue.
Because Donald Trump and his allies, they know where our true strength lies. Our strength is in our solidarity with one another. And despite what the president has said tonight, the strength of our union does not trickle down from the top, but it is built from the ground up. When we come together, the promise of America can be realized. And I believe this because we have done it before. Resistance must be as expansive and unyielding as the threats that we face.
Here he go with that resistance word again. Here you go with that resistance word again. And if you guys want to watch the full clip of this, because I think this is just half of the speech. But I don't know how much of this ball he can take, guys. I don't know how much ball he can take at this point because this kind
Good
of.
morning, Patrick. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Zach.
Overload meter is at 90%.
What's the goods? Good morning,
I
everybody.
might have to put one of those in the video. Put it in the comments if you guys want me to like put a meter up there, and it's like if it just overload, I'm like, okay, I'm done with watching this nigga because he just clowning too much. Let me know if you guys would like that.
And yes, that includes marches and principal civil disobedience, but it also looks like teachers refusing to erase banned books and the history of resistance.
Bring back the Bible. How about that?
It means neighbors stepping up to support food banks when families are under attack.
Oh my gosh, bro.
You see it. The Democrat Party always got some type of clown show going on. Always a clown show. Show y'all faces.
I like to be serious, and then I like to, be unserious, just to, keep the commentary good. But guys, I love those hats. I'm sorry. I love those freaking hats. Those hats are so cool. I wish I had one. I wish I had one. Now, look, I know they're doing it to mock Trump, but I only want the hat is because I'm a huge Kermit the Frog fan. I love Kermit the Frog, guys. And it's like he's a childhood of mine. I just really love Kermit the Frog, okay?
Medical professionals being allowed to provide reproductive care and communities protecting the integrity of our election.
Reproductive care, you mean abortion? Kill all our babies, which I've been doing since Marjorie was Singer, if I'm saying her name right. That's that bullshit.
Because when the federal government targets any of us,
Deport Zach.
targeting all of us. We must answer this moment with united action, moral
Stop killing the babies.
and determination that cannot be divided, intimidated, or turned back. The terror that we've seen in our streets was designed to provide cover for a long-term effort by the to render the future resistance to be futile. We can.
Yeah. Calm down.
USA.
Slow down, buddy. All right, we here with you.
Not allow an environment where this wickedness is allowed to ferment. Working people, we are demanding the very things that make our communities thrive. We're demanding good-paying jobs, well-funded public education, safe communities, truly affordable homes, and a better future for our children. These are the very same demands that our ancestors fought for. Black, brown, white, Asian, young, old, across this country, we are demanding justice.
That room is filled with white bro, I cannot, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot. There's not one minority in there. There's not many minorities at the state of the swamp.
For the working people of this nation.
That's crazy.
Now in closing, these demands mean something in this moment, you all. As Donald Trump brags about the interests of corporations, 300,000 black women have lost their jobs because of this administration.
Dude, see, you know what? Brandon Johnson overload meter activator, man. Because now I can't do it no more. Now you want to use black women's trauma. First of all, how many white people lost their jobs under Obama?
Because of DEI bullshit.
What are you talking about, dude? So now you're making it a color thing again? This is when we got to cut Buddy off because he on that racist BS again. Okay, guys? So, a lot to unpack there. First of all, Donald Trump is only doing his job as president. He's only doing what the people voted for him to do. Okay? Kamala Harris lost, even though she wasn't even supposed to be there in the first place. The Democrats are real authoritarians. Who the hell did Kamala Harris have to debate or do anything or get past for her to become the presidential nominee for the Democrats? I think that's more authoritarian than anything. What do you mean? You mean to tell me Melissa Horman is getting murdered by, whatever the hell you two allow nowadays, by someone who's appointed by Tim Walz, and the governor of Minnesota isn't being investigated? Something's fishy with that. That's authoritarian. What are you talking about? Joe Biden's auto pen? He's bro, they're pardoning people who they don't even know is pardoned. Joe Biden probably don't even know what the hell is even going on. He's pardoning people with his signature that he isn't even fully aware of. If that isn't authoritarian, I don't know what is, guys. Rigged elections, we all know that the Democrats can't win without cheating, okay? And when it comes to Brandon Johnson and his trash leadership, like I said, he's supposed to be in Chicago making sure that people are safe. But what is he doing? He's in Washington, D.C., playing in his ass at a state of whatever the hell, trying to basically do just combat Trump's State of the Union. Like, it's so weird, ladies and gentlemen, how they're just obsessed with Trump like this. And honestly, I can't take it anymore. And it's like, I'm not as big of a fan as I was when I first came out as far as, supporting Trump. I'm still a big Trumper, but it's like, when it comes to these people like Brandon Johnson and J.D. Pritzker and Gavin Newsom, guys, these people are not good for our country. Like, let's just be honest here. Would you guys rather have Trump as president or a Gavin Newsom? Or even worse, a J.D. Pritzker? Oh, look, I can't even drink. Guys, I gotta go, okay? Make sure you guys hit that like, subscribe button. Y'all been tearing that like button up. I appreciate everything, guys. And I just want to say,
thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. I'm gonna cut it off, you guys. I've been over here for about 2 hours and 40 minutes. I appreciate you guys. I'll be back soon. Like and subscribe. Name is Deunta. Common sense.